Welcome to our board meeting this afternoon or evening. We are here June 26, 2025. Going to go ahead and dive in where we do have a quorum. All right, so we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order and go forward with district celebrations. District celebrations. I know, but you don't have to do them.
No, go ahead, Nick, knock yourself out.
Good evening, board. I am happy to be here on behalf of the superintendent to celebrate the many wonderful things that have occurred in the district thus far this month. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you will direct your attention to the screen. We always have the pleasure of acknowledging our wonderful students who are accomplishing so much, and they're doing it even in the summer. Kyrie Hubbard, who is a talented fifth grader from Terry Elementary, is headed to the National Beta Convention in Orlando, Florida. Hello, Kylie. Kylie took first place in digital art at the state level Beta Club competition in Hot Springs, and now she's proudly representing Terry and the Little Rock School District on the national stage. So we're very happy for Kylie. Next up is Miss Mackenzie E. Mackenzie Enoch Noble is a fifth grader from Forest Heights STEM Academy, and she's representing the district this week at the 2025 NBA Math Hoops Global Championship in New York City. Mackenzie's hard work, love for math, and dedication to teamwork have earned her a spot on this stage, and we're certainly wishing her the very best. So that is Mackenzie Enoch Noble. And we are just as proud of those who have graduated and are now representing the Little Rock School District as alum. Two recent Central High School grads are climbing to new heights, literally. You can check out their journey to the national championship in a story on our social media feed as well as on THV11. We want to say good luck to Grayson Smith and Walker Lampley. The competition is right now going on in Portland, Oregon through July 2nd. So we wish them well. They're brave. We mentioned this accomplishment to you previously. However, this is our opportunity to acknowledge Miss Yolanda Shelton, also from Forest Heights STEM Academy, because she just actually received her award at the ARSCA convention with the ARSCA Central Region Elementary School Counselor of the Year. Actually, that's the recognition she received. You may remember that we shared her selection with you earlier this year. Her passion and support for students obviously make her a great person to recognize, and she's having a lasting impact on our students, and we're so proud to have her as part of the Little Rock School District family. And representing the Rock NKC, 11 outstanding Central High School teachers were selected by the College Board to serve as AP exam readers in Kansas City, and 4 of those are AP teachers actually from Central: Matthew Dean, Ruthie Walls, Chris Dorer, and Alondra Dixon. You see pictured here. Congratulations to these wonderful professionals who are representing the district well also. Now this is truly an amazing feat. We've been watching Coach Aaron Butler's trajectory throughout this past year with his accomplishments with the girls wrestling team. He was named Arkansas Coach of the Year, and then on the heels of that, he is now the National Coach of the Year for wrestling. So we're super proud of Coach Aaron Butler from, of course, Central High School. Now here's something we all wish to be when we grow up. This is a retiree spotlight. Dr. Laura Carter, recent retiree from Roberts Elementary, was crowned Miss Arkansas Senior America 2025. Wow. She's going to be representing the state at the national pageant this October in Atlantic City. And of course, we will be cheering Dr. Laura Carter on. Congratulations. We continue with our Reading in the Rock effort. We've had some great acknowledgments, particularly in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I hope you had an opportunity to see this photo. How could you miss these cute twins? They showed up as part of the haircut and the partnership with Washington Barber College, where they got discounted haircuts and received free books as a result of this partnership. The kids were super excited. Dr. Wright kept saying, I can't believe the kids are out, but they actually showed up, about 40 families, and they had a fantastic time. Of course, they got a chance to take advantage of the discounted haircuts. That's actually a little girl, and she was brave enough to get her hair trimmed by those awesome barbers at Washington Barber College. And then here's another slide featuring the students who were super excited. What was impressive about this event is that these students came from all over the city. Some of these students actually attend Roberts, and this was held in Southwest Little Rock. So it just goes to show you how excited students are about books. And then the young fellow there reading, you see his stack of books. He grabbed a chair and he was reading, so pretty impressive there. And then, of course, this is your opportunity as a reminder to continue to stay involved, and if you're not involved, to get involved. The QR code is posted there where you can take the pledge. We've got a lot of activities that are occurring this summer. We're encouraging continued donations to support this effort, and we have another event coming up. It's to advance there. This coming week on July 2nd, it's another Books and Cuts event, free haircuts or a severely discounted haircut, $5. I think that's pretty good. I don't know, what do you pay for a haircut now, Mr. Mason? About 20, 25 bucks. I know when my son was in school, they were like $5, and that was a million years ago. But this event is taking place at the Legendary Institute, one of Little Rock School District's wonderful partners, and that's July 2nd. Again, free haircuts for children 12 and under, and those 13 and over, just $5, and the benefit, of course, is the free books. So that is all I have for you at this time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much, Pam. And so let's go ahead and move forward. Any other celebrations that we're overlooking? All right. Going ahead to public comment. This is a place in the agenda when we hear from the public, parents, stakeholders, and friends of LRSD. We'd like to hear public comment regarding LRSD issues. We allow 3 minutes for public comment. Our responsibility is to listen to your comment. We're not allowed to respond or have discussion. All right. Okay, Ms. Morgan?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You ready for me to start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Today I'm going to talk about the federal cuts to public schools. So many people don't realize the full impact of the proposed $800 billion in cuts to Medicaid, not just on health care, but on our public schools. A little known fact is that Medicaid is actually the 4th largest source of federal funding for public schools. These cuts could strip away $7.5 billion in vital support for services like school-based health care, counseling, and special education. And while that alone is alarming, this bill contains even more troubling provisions. One in particular deserves urgent attention: an unprecedented federal private school voucher scheme in the amount of $4 billion from now until eternity. This underreported provision will funnel taxpayer dollars into private school vouchers, draining resources from the public schools that serve the vast majority of American children. We've already seen how this has played out in states like Florida, where Governor DeSantis' voucher expansion has left public schools underfunded, families confused, and students underserved. This isn't just bad policy, it's a deliberate dismantling of public education. So today I'm here because I want to urge each of you, if you have not already, to schedule a meeting of some sort with the constituents that live in your zone and encourage them to contact our senators, which is Tom Cotton and Bozeman, and I have the number for you too. 202-224-2353 for Cotton, and 202-224-4353 for Senator Bozeman, and ask them not to go along to get along, because it is literally going to kill the Little Rock School District in every district around us. And the expectation that I personally have of people, each of you were elected to represent us and the children in this school district, as well as the employees, right? That's what you were elected to do. I would encourage you to have these conversations with your constituents as soon as possible, because they will be voting on this in Congress within the next couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so if there is no objection, I want to propose that we proceed to take up item 10.1, resolution to name the gymnasium at Dr. Marion G. Lacey K-8 Academy, Coach Marcus Davis Gymnasium. Our presenter? Have a presenter? Okay. Mr. Ball?
You ready for me to read?
I'm ready.
Okay.
We're moving it up so we can, be considerate to those who attended in regard to that.
I appreciate you. All right. I'm gonna just say something real quick. It's an honor and a privilege to present this resolution to the Little Rock School District and the Little Rock community. I'm from Southwest Little Rock, so this Coach Davis is, I would say, a legend in our community, and his name is rung out, throughout my whole childhood. So, resolution of the Little Rock School District Board of Education honoring Coach Marcus Davis through the renaming of the gymnasium at Dr. Marion G. Lacey K-8 Academy. Whereas Coach Marcus Davis, a proud product of the Little Rock School District, faithfully served the students of Little Rock School District for 36 years, including 33 years at Cloverdale Middle School, leaving a lasting impression on generations of students through his leadership, mentorship, and steadfast commitment to excellence. Whereas Coach Davis is recognized as one of the most successful middle school coaches in Arkansas history, achieving remarkable success in the multiple sports, including boys and girls basketball, volleyball, and track and field, all while serving as a dedicated physical health education teacher. And whereas discipline and resilience through his lasting mantra, hard work makes winners. His ability to speak, to reach, and inspire all students, particularly those often overlooked or underserved, speaks volumes about his heart and purpose behind his service. And whereas his legacy continues through the many former students who became coaches themselves, and through the lives of those he mentored, taught, and championed, choosing to remain at Cloverdale despite other opportunities so he could continue building community and shaping futures. And whereas in March of 2022, the gym at Cloverdale Middle School was fittingly named in his honor. With the closing of Cloverdale and the opening of Dr. Marion G. Lacey K-8 Academy, where many of the former Cloverdale students now attend, it is both appropriate and meaningful to continue honoring Coach Davis's legacy in a permanent and prominent way. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Little Rock School District Board of Education hereby renames the gymnasium at Dr. Marion G. Lacey K-8 Academy as the Coach Marcus Davis Gymnasium, a lasting tribute to a legendary Little Rock School District graduate, educator, mentor, and community builder whose life's work exemplified hard work, compassion, and an unshakable belief in the potential of every student.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I would like to make the motion to name the, let me see how y'all have it worded on here, so I can say it just the way y'all have it. The resolution to name the gymnasium at Dr. Miriam G. Lacey K-8 Academy, Coach Marcus Davis Gymnasium.
It's been moved by Ms. Hatter, Director Hatter. It's been seconded by Director Callaway. Any question? Comments? It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
And can we have Dr. Coach Marcus come up? and
Please,
Say
if
some
you have any
words?
comments, we'd love to hear from you.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Coach Marcus Davis. I'm a product of the Little Rock School District. I had at least 48 years with the Little Rock School District. 12 of those years was as a student, and 36 of those years was as a teacher coach. 33 of those years was spent at Cloverdale Middle School. I'm just so grateful and thankful to have this opportunity just to be here. And many of you who are on the board now was here the last time that I was here with Mr. Poore was the superintendent. And I'm just so grateful again and thankful for the privilege just to be here and for you all accepting what has been presented. It's been some time coming, but I'm so glad that I'm alive to see it. And oftentimes people wait until your eyes are closed and you're not able to enjoy anything. But I thank God that my eyes are wide open and I'm here to appreciate that has been done here tonight. I want to thank Mr. Bosley. I want to thank Ms. Hatter because they stayed in contact with me, letting me know exactly what was going on. They kept me updated on the situation. I've had so many former students and co-workers to call and ask me, when are they going to do the gymnasium? I said, well, I really don't know, but I'm just going to be patient enough to wait. And when you're patient, good things will happen. And I say to the board here tonight, thank you so much for your dedicated service and your unselfish commitment of time. I want you to know that Marcus Davis greatly appreciate everything that you all are doing for the Little Rock School District. All of you all, I consider you my friend. God bless and keep you is my prayer.
Mr. Davis, Coach Davis, Director Bali's going to present you with the letter and get a picture. And afterwards, I would like to come down and get a picture with you.
All right. Any other comments? Any other comments?
No, I would just like to say, after, I guess, the plaque is made, the ceremony, just so we'll all know, if you guys could let us know, Director Bali, since that's his area as well, and so like we can all be there to invite to celebrate that.
Sounds great. All right. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and move on to district committee reports. Certified PPC. Certified PPC. No? Okay. All right, classified PPC. All right, and no principal roundtable. Right? All right, so we're going to go ahead and you all will peruse the consent agenda items. We don't need to move anything. I'll definitely entertain a motion if we don't.
Madam Chairman, I move that the Little Rock School District Board of Education approve the consent agenda items as follows. 5.1, personnel changes. 5.2, round 5, employment recommendation contracts for 25-26 school year. 5.3, purchasing report. 5.4, donation of property. 5.5, approval of school board meeting minutes. 5.6, community service learning applications. 5.7, assurances for application of federal programs, Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, and IDEA. 5.8, 25-26 board meeting dates. 5.9, board personnel policy for certified staff.
Second. It's been moved and properly second, moved by Director Mason, moved by Director Adams, that the LRSD Board of Education approve the consent agenda items as follows. 5.1, personnel changes. 5.2, round 5, employment recommendation contracts for 25-26 school year. 5.3, purchasing report. 5.4, donation of property. 5.5, approval of school board meeting minutes. 5.6, community service learning applications. 5.7, assurances for applicable federal programs, Title I, II, III, IV, and IDEA. 5.8, 25-26 board meeting dates, and 5.9, board personnel policies for certified staff. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay. All right, so we'll move to we'll move to 6.1, Year 1 Review of Promise Academy. Do we have Dr. Giles? Okay. And then Ms. Ely?
Yes, she did.
If timing is impeccable.
Good evening, how are you all doing?
Wonderful. Good evening.
All right, my name is Dr. Angelita Giles, Principal Morgan Ely. Yes, and we are here to speak about the wonderful accomplishments of Promise Academy. So thank you all for having us today. We want to acknowledge Ms. Weston, who's in the audience, who's Assistant Principal at Stevens. We want to acknowledge Dr. Melinda Smith, who couldn't be with us this afternoon, but she's the SPED Supervisor for Promise Academy, and of course, Ms. Steele, who's in the audience as well. Uh-oh. Sorry, you can tell this is my first time. All right. All right, I'm clicking. All right. So today we're just going to kind of highlight all of the wonderful things that we got a chance to experience this year with Promise Academy. And the first thing is really student empowerment. When our students first came to Stevens, to them about, you know, what do you think? Why do you think you're here? And for most of them, you know, they were very honest with us. They said, for years, y'all had us way out there at that school in Rose City. And I said, well, do you know why you were out there? And they put their heads down and they said, because we were bad and we had bad behavior. And I immediately said, hold your head up. This is an opportunity for you to have a clean slate. Just like I get up every morning, I would like a clean slate. This is your opportunity as well. And so the entire purpose of Promise was so that they could know that we're here to work with you together so that you can improve in your academic achievement, your social emotional, you know, strategies and self-regulation. We also wanted to not only just focus on the students, but family empowerment as well. To be a parent when you have a child with special needs, and at this point, all of our kids on some sort of level has some sort of a need. We want our parents to really feel empowered. They do go to work every day, and a lot of them, it's not that they don't want to, they just don't understand how to. And so that was the sentiment of Promise, so that we can better serve them in that capacity. And not only that, the team empowerment. We wanted to make sure that our teachers, our staff, myself, our admin team, that we were all empowered to really serve the students as we would. And so the background and vision, we sort of started looking at what could we do. As you could see on the agenda, we looked at cost analysis of what we were paying at that time to really send our students out. to those outside agencies. And so we said, you know, what would it look like if we didn't do that and we kind of bring them home? And that was another sentiment from our students as well. They were so excited. They said, we are finally back in what they saw as real school. And so that was something that was so important. The reason why we added this slide, we just wanted you all to know that once we kind of got that green light, hey, we're doing this, we had to look for staff like within the next couple of weeks. You know, it wasn't easy, but we're proud to just say that the staff came together. We came with a common goal to really be there for the success of students. We began implementing the program, and what's most important is we did ongoing reassessments of what's working, what's not working, kind of what we hear often, that start, stop, and continue of the things that we need to do. And what brought us here today, Dr. Wright attended our inaugural celebration back in May, and you're going to see in the next couple of slides some of the wonderful things that our students were able to show us, you know, what they were able to do. And so again, just real quickly on this slide, it's just to be at Promise Academy, it is considered an ADE day school program. And so you have to really follow that education continuum. And the criteria is they have to meet either 1, 2, 4, and 5 of this list, or the set of 1, 3, 4, and 5. And so, and it's a good thing. You know, we did have schools kind of call us and say, how do we get our students in at Promise? And we were glad to hear that. But we really want to really do our due process of making sure that we're meeting the needs of the students. And so we started with 9 students. And ADE also says that for each program classroom, we can only have 9 students with a 1-to-3 ratio. And so I want to also add, again, that most of our students had come previously from another facility as well. All right, and so with Promise staff, we had such a wonderful team. Again, they were hired within a couple of weeks of school. Some of them kind of joined us throughout the semester, but we had this wonderful team. And one of the things that I could say that really made Promise work is that these team members understood, and of course it comes with growth, it comes with rapport and coming together as a team, but they understood that these students did come from backgrounds of having different diagnoses, that some of the things that they may have not seen before, or some of the things that, you know, you may not always have the answer. But it was important for us to just recognize that they are students first, and we are here as educators to support them by every step of the way. And so with Promise Academy, we stand on 3 promises, which is to provide the most academically rigorous and relevant instruction appropriate for each student, to provide appropriate behavioral, social, and emotional support for each student, and to champion services in the most inclusive setting possible. And so now we're just going to briefly break all those down and what we were able to do this past year. So to provide the most academically rigorous and relevant instruction appropriate for each student. And the way that we were able to do that is we had to kind of sort of think outside the box. These students were kind of used to, at the other programs, used to being in a classroom the entire day. And what we were able to do, we were able to allow them to mainstream with their peers. Because as you can imagine, the research will show that when you're going to get your best foot forward when you are with your typical developing peers. Because number one, that's reinforcing for you. You want to be there. You don't want to be stuck in a room all day. You want to be with your classmates. But you do sort of start to really walk out those social emotional strategies that we're hoping to impart in them. And so they were able to do that. They were able to go to their typical developing classrooms with their with their classmates. And we saw that that was so successful. It was important for us to plan, again, build that rapport, have that individualized plan, and we huddled and had warm handoffs and staff check-ins. Again, these are the students at Promise that are considered to be, if you look on the education continuum, to be the most severe in behavior. And so it was important for us, as we did, really support our staff and to recognize, you know, there may be moments where we are in very tense situations. You may experience things that you've never experienced before. And one thing we were able to reassure them is we wouldn't ever put them in a situation that me personally or admin team, Miss Ely, that we've never experienced ourselves. I personally came from residential, so a lot of these behaviors I'd seen before. And so it was almost like we were saying, we're in this together, and we just really consistently, did that check-in to say, if you need to tap out, if you need to step away, that's good. But one thing I could say again about our group, they understood that these students were in a crisis and needed the support, and that is what helped us be successful throughout the year. And of course, you can say it over and over again, data is always important. And we also empowered our staff to say that we are all the experts. Some of us do have specialized degrees, but at the end of the day, there are people that maybe can reach the students a little differently than I could. And so we said, if you have any suggestions, let us know, so that you could try those things. And it really empowered the staff as well.
And so to continue talking about the data, we have the data here for oral reading fluency. And as you can tell, the lighter blue shows what they did at the beginning of the school year. And for all of our students, they showed improvement in their oral reading fluency, words correct per minute. And so that also showed growth as well in their accuracy with reading. So that meant our students were spending more time reading, which is really good for this program. As we said earlier, our ongoing reassessment of the program, we realized that when they were taking mid-year and end-of-year assessments and summative assessments, that we needed to provide them more time to have those assessments. If they had one particular day, sometimes they needed just more opportunities to take those tests.
And to add with that, that is such the purpose of an individualized plan, that there is no cookie cutter way to kind of chunk their testing in ways so that they can have those moments to cool down. That is something that we made sure that we set in place for them. Just real quick, I wanted to add this. We have at the top Classroom Hub is because that was the centralized classroom where the students would come back if they needed to just have that cool off moment. But again, for our 7 students that were able to complete the program, they were able to be mainstream to the classroom. And so these are just highlights. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony at the beginning of the year, and as you could see some familiar faces in the photos. But it was important for us to just kind of relay and convey that even though this was a specialized program, Promise students are Stevens students. And so that was something that we continue to echo throughout the school year. And we just reinforce that, because when you do hear about a new program and you hear about, oh my goodness, I heard that they're coming from residential, I heard that all these things, you know how that goes. But just reassuring the staff that, at the end of the day, these are our students. They belong to us. And so we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that they are supported and get all of the care and the education that they need. So to provide appropriate behavioral, social, and emotional support for each student. One of the main things that was so important to us when we first conceived this program a couple of years ago was that we did have those therapists on site ready and available to the student that are in crises. So it wasn't just enough to have that educational plan and then say, okay, well, we wrote a behavior plan. We also said that it was important for us to have those mental health agencies on site so that when there was a crisis, they could step in. And so we are very appreciative of the mental health agencies that did work with us throughout the school year, that did do individualized and group therapy for us. And that really really fit the whole entire model, that we make sure that they're supported educationally, but they are getting what they need socially and emotionally. And again, we came together as a community, the parents. At first, we have a link to the survey that we conducted at the end of the year. The survey, one of the parents said, at first, I didn't think y'all knew what you were doing. It was because she wasn't used to the school calling just to say, hey, we're checking in. And she was like, I took it as, I'm so used to just dropping them off and just going home. I wasn't used to that. And so it's just getting that understanding and that rapport that, no, we're here together. You tell us, how you like to be informed. We don't want you to think that we're always calling. But that was just enough for us. But we're just so proud at how the Stevens community really came in together for these 9 students. We can't say it enough, the SPED team, our school psych specialists that did those FBAs really quickly and those behavior plans, the support staff, the building staff, the teachers who they were there to support that student so that the teacher didn't think that, okay, I'm having to stop what I'm doing because Johnny is having a crisis. That was something that really worked and really helped us throughout the year. And then before long, we didn't need the staff as much on, with that one-on-one. And so you'll see that really shortly. But again, with the Stevens community, these are just wonderful things that we were able to do throughout the school year. Do you have anything that you wanted to add, Ms. Ely? No. Okay, you're doing it. All right. And so just to kind of give you an idea, data. That was, get used to the noise. Let's try to see if they had their own private time, and then we were able to integrate them back. So those are some things that we were able to do, just as an example.
And so if you notice with the data, I know it looks like they only did data us and working together, that it was truly just at the beginning of the school year where we had significant issues. By the second semester, we were really practicing restorative justice. We were patient. We're learning to work together. We were able to calm them down. The paraprofessionals were able to better work with them, maybe take them to the hub for a moment, then reintegrate them into the classroom. So this is actual true data classroom. So this is actual true data where we didn't have many significant issues at all that needed to be documented second semester.
Yes. And so that's like a hand clap again when you think about it for students who were having to, for different reasons, having to be referred out to an outside agency. Now they're at Stevens Elementary School. Just like any program, we had to kind of work together, hold hands. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the staff got it down. We all worked together as a team. And to see those zeros at the end of the year, we couldn't believe it when we sat down and looked at the data to see that there were no significant incidents that resulted in suspensions. We could go to the hub, be restored, and they were able to go back to class. And so the final thing is to champion services in the most inclusive setting possible. And again, towards the end, some of our students didn't even require the para. The para just kind of checked in. Hey, I'm just checking in to see how Johnny is doing. And they were able to leave. They were able to follow the general education schedule, and there was less time in the hub. And for some of them, they became peer helpers. Some of them, that we were able to trust them enough to go to other classrooms, like our CBI class. Can I go help? And we were able to, yeah, you could go there. It was kind of rewarding. They didn't stay there long. They just went in there, let me help pass out some papers, but then they came back out to make sure that they were getting, their educational needs and time as well. But those are some things that we're just the most proud of. Again, previously they were in another environment where it was more restricted, and now that they are at Stevens, they were able to be included. And so this is a picture of the team and our babies at our first celebration, where they received numerous awards and trophies. And some of the parents were just in tears. They said they had never been anywhere where their child had ever been recognized. I'm so used to getting phone calls, come get them. They're bad, they're whatever. And they said, we just can't say enough of how you all supported us throughout the school year. And again, that was teamwork coming together. All right. One highlight that we wanted to just add, one of our students ended up being #1 in GT for the entire second grade. And they also— At Stevens, thank you. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're prophesying entire second grade.
Okay,
but at Stevens. But they also received numerous awards in citizenship, attendance, literacy, math, and that at the same time work with them on their academics. We saw the data showed that their academics improved. All right. And this is probably the second to the last slide. But again, we did a promise parent survey, again, to just build rapport. And it was just really nice to just see the parents really say, hey, thank you so much. I've never received this much positiveness about my child. And some of them didn't want their children to be, taken out the program. But this program is not meant to be a program that you're in there forever. The goal is for you to be mainstream back to your school site. But we definitely had some parents holding on for dear life, like, please, we've never had this experience. And for some of them, we won't just kick them out. We do have a transition process to which, that parent will go to their home school and work with them for a couple of weeks, really educating that school team. Okay, now that they're coming back to you, this is what you can look for. This is how you can support them so that we can continue that and have generalization throughout the different environments. And we also got feedback from the Stevens staff. And a lot of, they were just honest. At first, we were scared. We would hear things because there were times that our students were in crisis. But before long, those teachers would run and, can she come work with me? Can he come work with me? They were so excited to have them in their class. And so we can't say enough that Stevens, when this program was presented, it wasn't oh my goodness, we're just being dumped some kids that, have these behaviors. No. They took the opportunity and said, you know what, these are Stevens students and we're going to do what we can to best support and serve the students. So, and then the future is a middle school pilot, and we want to thank you.
Thank you, guys. Hold on, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second, just 1 second. I just wanted to open the floor for questions. Yes, Director Adams.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. It's so encouraging to hear, and kudos to your staff and the team for working. So all the students who are there this year, will all of them be in their home schools next year, or what will happen to them next year?
We do have a few that are going back to their home schools, but for some of them, it is written in their plan that we will transition after the first quarter of school. So we're going to get them started because this is very new and we want to make sure, and then we'll slowly transition them out.
All right.
So yes.
And will it still be 9 student capacity for you all next year?
We are currently getting applications because there is an application process where the school has to show that they have, because it's on the continuum, they have to show that they've done everything possible on their end. And so, yes, we started receiving a lot of applications, and Miss Ely was getting a lot of phone calls. But yes, there's an application process that they will.
Two other quick questions. So does that mean that we need, eventually, we're going to need more capacity to meet the needs of our students than we have now? This was a pilot, our first time to do it, but is there more demand than there is space?
I'm sure eventually, yes. I don't want to answer that from Ms. Steele, but yes, yes.
And I'll talk about it a little bit when I get.
Okay. Okay, my last question is, you mentioned the finances in the beginning about how much it costs to have them placed in another program outside of the district. Do we have a comparison of what the finances were compared to that, to what it cost to do this program for them?
No, I'll be honest with you, I do not have that
Okay.
comparison.
I wonder if we could get that later.
Okay.
That would be helpful for us to think about, capacity for the future, to understand, is this a neutral thing? Is it costing us more? Is it costing us less? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Another question? Absolutely. Director?
Okay. You know what, I'm so glad, ladies, that you guys are not giving up on our students, because I was one of those students, and I like to share this story because when people come up like you, I know that we can be overcomers. I wasn't as severe, but they did try to kind of push me to the side, and my mom was like, no, we're not going to do that. And so the teachers actually got together, and I think they just gave me a refocus. They gave me things to do. They allowed me to pass out milk in the cafeteria. They asked me to walk a person down to the principal's office. So they kept me refocused, and the more refocused I came, I want to say the smarter I had become, but they didn't give up on me, and I am so glad that we have people like you. Don't give up on our students, but you let them know if they're looking that I'm an overcomer. I was once like them. I may not have been that far gone, but they grabbed me in time. So I just want to say thank you so much for what you do.
You're welcome, and I'm glad you said that, because just to add, that was something that we had to really just kind of work towards, because when you are to refocus, we had to reshift, let's focus on this, and then we were able to integrate that structured schedule, but flexibility is the key. So thank you for bringing that up, because that was something we had to do as well.
Any other questions?
I think
Ms.
Director
I think Ms.
Strong.
Strong.
Okay. Director Strong?
Is it okay if I jump in? It's hard for me to kind of see what's happening. Thank you all so much for your presentation. I'm really excited about this, and I have 3 questions, but I'm happy to jump back in if any of them are long. But I just wondered if you could speak a little bit about some of the examples of the diagnoses for the kids that you're working with. If I missed that, I'm sorry. And then what the clinical outcomes look like for those kids. I know y'all are really focused on like the school outcomes and all that piece, but could you speak on the health side of things as well?
Yes, so some of the students, there were comorbid anxiety and ADHD, just your typical, but of course, under IDEA, we could categorize them under OHI or emotionally disturbed, because some of them were, emotionally had that diagnosis, because some of them were, emotionally had that diagnosis as well. Ms. Steele is going to talk about this in just this year. Is we're going to have more of a clinical presence, someone that actually understands medication, someone that actually understands the clinical aspects of it this year that's coming up. And so we'll be able to really report on that really real soon.
Great. Well, that actually kind of leads into the second question I had, and it ties a little bit back to what I think Director Adams was asking about the finances. But so it sounds like you're bringing in outside folks still to provide treatment on the campus. Is that correct?
Yes. And it just so happened we were blessed because Stevens already had providers on the campus already. And so
Right.
through the parents being able to, with their insurance, and that's a whole nother thing in itself, they were able to access those services.
Okay, so the district is not necessarily billing Medicaid directly for these services or other
Not
payers.
at this time, not at this time.
Okay. And then the last piece I was just going to ask, so in the summer, what happens for these kids in the summer? And I know that's a time when we worry about the academic slide, but I figure the behavioral health slide is also a challenge for some of these students. Is there a place where they can go during the summer, like a day treatment facility or something like that, where they can get some slide is also a challenge for some of these students. Is there a place where they can go during the summer, like a day treatment facility or something like that, where they can get some of the regulation and kind of continuity that is helping them succeed?
Yes, a few of our students are actually attending some of the behavioral health summer camps. When we kind of did a closeout with the parents to say, okay, what's going on? What are you doing? They had already started filling out their application to do some of those things at centers, Methodists. They have different summer programs.
Awesome. Well, I love this work. I am a super Medicaid nerd and love to work on school-based health and other things. And I really appreciate all you guys are doing to help bring that stable environment to kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so 6.2, elementary behavior program updates and plans for 25-26, working to provide support for students with disabilities, specifically students with severe behavioral and emotional needs, by supporting them in an emotionally safe environment with individual instruction to accommodate their academic and behavioral needs. So we'll hear from Ms. Steele. Is that correct, Dr. Steele?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You'll do those next two, is that correct?
No, but I'm
No?
going to introduce the young ladies
You
who will.
Wonderful. You'll pass it, all
Yes,
right.
thank you. Good evening. Bring you guys up to date on our behavior program. We have what we're going to be implementing at. Are you supposed to be at West Indiana? Okay. So we're going to go to the autism program, I believe is. We're going to do Wildcat Achievers. Okay, y'all can sit right there. Okay, up here. Okay, so Wildcat Achievers is what we have termed our behavior programs with classrooms, which are going to be at Carver, Washington next year. So what we did was moved, of course, Carver closed, but we moved the behavior classrooms that were at Carver to our program at Washington, as well as the 2 classrooms that were at Martin Luther King. to Carver, Washington. And as part of our staff, we have, of course, our behavior coordinator, Ms. Angelica Carter, but we also have an administrator, behavior administrator, who will be Ms. Lakita Weston, who was the assistant principal at Stevens. So she's going to come up and do the presentation on the Wildcat at back and explain the additional services that we will have for these students.
Good evening. She said, talking to Mike, I'm talking to Mike. All right, she read our vision statement. I just want to reiterate some words with Wildcat Achievers. We are committed to fostering a nurturing and inclusive environment where exceptional learners can thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. I am the program coordinator and lead administrator over at Carver, Washington with the program with Wildcat Achievers. My name is Ms. Weston, and here we have our behavior program coordinator, Ms. Angelica Carter. I want to describe the classrooms. We will be on the back hallway at Carver, Washington. We will have a total of 6, because I don't want to title them behavior, because they have an opportunity to transition back into a moment on. I'll talk about our transition classrooms. 4 of them will be self-contained classrooms where we will have 1 classroom sped teacher with 2 paraprofessionals up in there with a max of 10 students. These students will focus not only on our academic piece in our classrooms, but they will also have opportunities for social emotional learning. They will get some services we'll talk about later on in the presentation where we can help them self-regulate their emotions, teaching them how they can thrive academically, behaviorally, and socially, and control their emotions. Okay, that'll be our primary time. It's gonna look a little different. I don't want to just hover on their behavioral. We have students in LRSD as a whole that are probably 2 grades plus behind academically. Can we agree? Not all due to COVID, not all due to things that occur that we think are typical. I'm talking about lack of a certified teacher in the classroom due to having long-term subs in our classes. We're talking about the lack of instruction, effective instruction in the classroom, or even our high absences that we have that occur that is out of students' control. Can we all agree with that? So here, one of the initiatives that I'm very excited for is we're going to have 2 classrooms, 1 K2 and 1 grades 3 through 5, where we will survey out in our schools and we will target those students who are missed. They're in the classroom, they're raising their hand, they're moving on from kindergarten with a lack of skills of letter acknowledgments or sounds. They're in 1st grade, they can't read. They have a deficit where they can't make sounds blend together, but we've moved them on to 2nd grade, and then we're ready to test them in 3rd. So we could go ahead and catch those students now and put them in our Tier 3 transition classrooms, and we could work solely on those specific gaps that they have. Get them there, work with them in a classroom with 1 certified general ed teacher and 1 parapro, and they work with those students.
Class, we're going to have 2 behavior interventionists that will then help them transition to their home school. So the data collection and us monitoring them meeting their goals is going to happen in-house in our program. When students meet their goals, they transition into our tier. We have 2 behavior interventionists on staff that will then follow them to their home school to make that a smooth transition as well.
All right, this is just a glimpse of how we're going to staff our, and currently we are still in search for 1 special ed teacher and 1 special ed parapro, and I'm quite sure within the next couple of weeks I'll have that fully staffed and we'll be ready to go. I'm going to go to this slide right quick because you're asking, how are we going to do this? Here it is. We have already aligned to professional development for all of our staff. That's going to include all of our certified teachers and all of our paraprofessionals. We're going to bring them back the week of July 21st, and we're going to concentrate on a week-long professional development for them, specifically on sensory regulation. We're going to have 2 days where we work on safety care training for them, trauma-invested classrooms, and essential behavior concepts. Those are going to be focused so they can pretty much understand the wholeness of what the school year is going to look like. And with that, we're going to have ongoing support. We don't want to start them off, have a summer PD without supporting them throughout the year. Because one thing we don't want to do is overwork our staff and not equip them to do this job that we're asking them to do. With that, we'll also, and we'll talk about it in just a second with our support, we will have them ongoing training with medication management, talking about their wellness, staff wellness. We have 2 already scheduled on calendar just for our staff, because we feel like this. The Lord gave us a cup to fill, and the overflow is what we have to provide for everybody else. So if our cup is not full, we can't pour into our students. Adapting the HQIM, we don't want them just to be focused all solely on their behavior concepts. We want to make sure they're getting effective instruction. So here we're going to charge our leaders, including
safe, humane approach. A lot of times across the country, we do not use the most humane ways when working with students with emotional and behavioral disorders. Safety care focuses on ethical and humane ways to use de-escalation strategies to serve students with these severe behaviors. So I asked you to do just a little bit of research into safety care and why the Division of Special Programs is moving to the use of safety care.
Okay, so, you guys have sat in the seats that you're in and have heard public comment about the severity of the behaviors that we've been dealing with in our schools, and I don't want to sugarcoat it and gloss over that. We, in addition to the wonderful services and the leadership that we have in Ms. Weston and Ms. Carter, we know that these students are gonna need some additional supports. We gotta do something different, and we have to do more and need some additional supports. We gotta do something different, and we have to do more than we've been doing for the students, because we have the same students who are coming with some of the same issues that they've always had. A lot of trauma, a lot of issues going on at home, and I have always felt, as a special educator, that we're not equipped to address all the needs of all of these students. And so we couldn't just move the program from one school to another and do the same things we've been doing. And so we had to add some additional services, so we felt find professionals who could and who are equipped and who are equipped and who are licensed to address some of the needs that these students would have, or have licensed to address some of the needs that these students would have or have had or still have. And so what we've done is these are the mental health providers who are a step above, I think, what we've provided or offered. Just like Dr. Giles said, they have had school-based mental health services. We have them, the responsibility of the parents to connect with those mental health providers and to make sure that those students have the services, and their insurance or Medicaid was used to pay for it. Where we are right now is our district was, we're cited for overrepresentation or disproportionality in the number of suspension expulsions of African American students with disabilities. We call it CCEIS is the federal term that we're being monitored under, and what that is, a comprehensive, coordinated comprehensive early intervening services then is where we are. And when you are cited for being disproportionate, we have to spend 15% of our 6B funds to help address those things. What the causes, the root causes of that disproportionality. And a lot of it is we were cited on for to their programming. I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Kyla Holmes and Dr. Karen Moore. They're here today with us so that they can talk to you about their profession, their license, and what they're going to offer the program. In addition, we'll have an APN nurse, Nurse Byers, who I believe works for Dr. Moore's program. Yes. And she's a pediatric psychiatric nurse. There are things that, as an educational entity, that, like I said, we don't have the expertise to address, but these people are not only going to be there to support the students, but to support the parents and to support the staff. And actually, they're going to be here for the district, because if we have students and parents in other schools, maybe not in this program at Washington, who need to access these services, we're making them available for them too. Of that $864,000, 50% of it has to be spent on students who are not identified as students with disabilities or gen ed students. So those 2 Tier 3 classes, transition classes that we have, are going to have a 15 student max, and those are going to be for students who are not yet disabled. Parents on Medicaid management, parent trainings and staff professional development. So I'm going to ask Dr. Moore if she will come first and introduce herself and talk to you about some of the things that her services that she will be able to offer. Thank you, Dr. Moore.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of this, and I just have to throw this in. I'm a product of Little Rock School District. Yes. Went to Brady, Franklin, and I don't know if you remember this, Southwest Junior High. Am I, just a little bit? Okay. And then moved to Texas, came back, and graduated from Hall High. Hey, Warriors. And so,
What year from Hall?
after I got my doctorate from the University of Missouri, I knew I was coming in this capacity. I'm a licensed psychologist in 3 states, actually, Arkansas, Texas, and Missouri, soon to be Oklahoma, too. I also Stillwater's Consulting Group, and I partner with agencies, school districts. I do psychological assessments, even for the public defender. I've worked for DYS. So the kids that people tend to write off, I want them. I don't give up. And I really honed in on that idea when I trained in grad school with the co-developer of MST. He said there's no such thing as resistance. And so I used to do intensive in-home therapy for kids that were affiliated with the juvenile justice system. So these are kids that committed pretty tough crimes. And so I was in charge of doing the family therapy, meeting with parents, setting rules and structure, and I'm still affiliated with the juvenile justice system. They saw me as still part of that system. So it was, as you can imagine, were they excited to see me? Not at all. But over time, I learned, take food, okay? So food, they might open the door a little bit, but I was trained to find a way. Just because someone may be resistant to the services doesn't mean that we just give up. It means they don't want it. He charged me with finding a way to align with people. And it's a blessing to be able to do that. And so with this new endeavor that I'm embarking on with my partner, and then recently, within the last 10 years, she became a psychiatric nurse practitioner and actually can provide medication management across the lifespan. Has wonderful knowledge. She's worked at Methodist residential facilities, all types of Conway, I think, human development, Conway Regional. So she has lots of experience too. And so her, along with myself, we hope to provide and staff individual therapy, group therapy. I'm all about consultation. I love working with parents. She's going to do more of the medication management. If that's something we're not going to say is a necessity, but to participate in the program, but it's going to be available. And that's what I think has a lot of programs like this lack the availability of quality services like that to be available. So also staff development and whatever the staff needs are, taking care of themselves. As was said earlier, how are you going to pour from an empty vessel if you don't take care of yourself? That's very important. Supports as needed, and whatever the needs to better address what's going on with the kids in the classroom. I also, here's another kind of tidbit, my training is a school psychologist. So I have the background also to help academically. So I can not only provide those supports for mental health concerns, but also, if need be, consult for the academic. It's hard to tease those two apart. And so I hope to be just a wonderful resource, hopefully. I'm calling myself wonderful. Wonderful resource for those in the schools.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
With the medication piece, and this is for probably Dr. Still, with, so when student, Dr. Holmes and Nurse Byers, those,
Dr. Byers?
It is not.
Okay.
She's a
It's
psychiatric
APN,
nurse
yeah.
practitioner.
Some of them have doctors.
so my question, the point, that wasn't my point, but my, question is, are these contracted, services, because school districts are not in the business of,
Absolutely.
giving medication?
No, that's
and-
not what we
And plus,
said.
we're
We're
trying to
not
get away
giving,
from that, because that's, in the past, have that been where teachers would do a self-diagnosis, and some
And tell
folks,
parents their kids can't come to
that's,
school if they're
that's
not on
right,
meds, yeah.
and then they'll find
All of those laws
some-
still stand.
Mhm.
These are services that are available should the parents choose to access them. The only difference is, there are some students who don't have Medicaid, or their parents may not have insurance. We're providing these services from our CCEIS funds regardless, if they need them. The reason we thought it was important to have Nurse Byers and her background with medication is that it is important for us as professionals, as teachers, and as parents to understand side effects of medication, things we may be seeing in the students in the school that may be caused by the medication. So we're talking about medication education, letting parents know, she can look at what what a child has been prescribed and help educate parents as well as staff on, how these medications affect the students. Or if we see change, and help educate parents as well as staff on, how these medications affect the students. Or if we see changes during the day. We've always just said, I think, does this child have a change in medication? And parents will say, yeah, they took them off this or they took them off that. Then she's able to monitor that and say, hey, then you might be able to tell your doctor X, Y, or Z. Or, just to help keep us educationally informed on how these things may be affecting the behaviors and things like that. But they're not there to say, you need to go get your child put on this drug, or you need to go, that kind of thing. It's not that. It's just so that we can all be aware of what's going on with the students and how any type of medication that they might have or might not have may be affecting the behaviors that we're seeing.
So my next portion of students that do not have health care, and the funds that the district would pay to cover that, and this is a legal question for probably our attorney, Chris Heller, but what is the liability of the district? Because at that point, then we're funding it.
So the funding that we're talking about is not for medication
Okay.
at all. It is for the mental health services that these
So the
people can
psychol-
provide.
okay,
So for like we said, the therapies, the trainings, the professional development and things like that, we're not providing funding for medication, element and things like that. We're not providing funding for medication at all. I want that to be very clear.
Okay.
But just to keep us educated on what a child may be on, what their physician may have prescribed, and how it may be affecting their behavior and things like that, consulting with the parents. Anything, all of these services, as well as those that are contracted in any of our schools through our mental health providers, have to be under a parent's permission. You have to get consent, just like you would if they were paying them or if the insurance was paying them. So this is not going to be forced on parents. It's going to be available to all of our students. And we're going to have parent consent for any of these services.
Okay, and I wanted to, I wanted that to be clear, not, well, one, for those that are listening
Yes.
and the public, because I didn't want people to walk away thinking that we are bringing in mental health professionals. We have a psychiatric nurse that is able to provide prescriptions, and then it's all been done under the umbrella of Little Rock School District, because unfortunately, folks are not able to separate a contractor versus LRSD. They are just saying, I went to the schoolhouse, it came from the district, yada, yada, yada. And so, like, if we're able to ensure that, like, there is a bold and very distinctive differentiation, and then the one between the two, to where the appearance or even the liability, because we know how that is. You deal with public, and then something don't go the right way. Everybody is always looking for something or someone to blame it on. And so that is really what that was about, just making sure that the medication piece of it particularly was very clear, that like our contract, our partners are not writing out scripts right for the kids.
You're right, that is not happening.
So-
All mental health services in our schools are contracted. So, yeah.
So when it comes to that,
Can I-
'cause that's I'm sorry. I thought I heard somebody say something. Was it? Okay. So they're signing off on a consent, and then specific to medication management, that's the whole piece under that auspice, correct?
Medication management might be on.
Okay. So
But not,
administering,
not administering medication, not prescribing, unless they have the parents decide to partner with, let's just say Dr. Moore's psychology business
okay,
as their mental health provider.
okay. So I
But
think,
otherwise, yeah.
okay, so I think what I hear you saying, I just want to make sure everybody's clear, because this
We
is
just,
very-
what we
this
just
is
want
important.
is,
This
we
is
want these
important.
students
This
to
is-
have
it is.
the
It's important.
therapies,
So-
because we've had mental health providers in our
Right.
schools sit at meetings and go, when we say, what is their therapy plan, what can we do? Y'all just call us when they act bad. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we just need a higher
Absolutely.
level of therapeutic services
acuity,
for these
sure.
students. Yeah.
So really, essentially, this is to really provide the vision necessary so
Yes.
that we are informed about what is occurring, and we have the capacity around clinical insight
treatment if
to be
needed,
able to
yes.
really inform our staff and then educate students, educate parents, all of those types
Mm-hmm.
of things. And but management, all that type of thing is not something that would be taking place from us, from the district. Okay.
Right, unless the parent has a contract with them for mental health
Yes, that'd be a
services.
private piece.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
No,
And-
that's
and
good.
just to be clear,
Yes, ma'am.
we're all individually licensed.
Absolutely.
And
So
we
you
have
have the
liability insurance and
Absolutely.
all of that.
That's right.
And then also, I think it's more of, this is a resource that's available to you.
Right.
I see Little Rock School District and saying, ordinarily, you may have had difficulty getting into a provider. As some of you know, it's really hard getting, for a psychologist getting in for testing can take up, then
Sure.
it's developmental, I think it's like
Absolutely.
18 months to 2 years. So, not to say that that's what I'm gonna be doing, but it's difficult to have access to the much-needed services that these individuals may need.
Right.
So, I applaud just making it available.
Available, sure.
And then the decision
Okay.
is always rests with the family.
To the parent.
And the caregiver.
Okay. Ms. Johnson?
Okay,
Okay.
on the screen,
Yeah, so-
you had
Oh, she
parent-
had.
I'm sorry.
You're next. Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
Oh, you had parent training. So would it be safe to say in parent training, you also have therapy upset when mom continues to yell? So well, you'll say, Miss So-and-so, you know that Johnny gets upset when you continue to yell. So would that be training or would that be therapy for the mom?
So I'm gonna let I wanna answer,
Oh,
Director
okay.
Strong, I think, had a question.
She did. Did you want,
Do you,
to respond to that, or you want to?
You can go ahead and answer. I can't really hear Ms. Johnson, but go ahead and answer whatever's going on there, and I can jump in with a
well,
question.
I was gonna introduce Dr. Holmes, and I think that's her specialty that we
can
were
wait.
talking
I can
about
wait.
with parent training, and I was gonna let her speak to that. Okay.
Hello, it is wonderful to be here, and thank you for having me as a part of this initiative. My name is Dr. Kyla Holmes. I am a licensed clinical psychologist. I too was born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, so it is wonderful. I knew after my training, just like Dr. Moore mentioned, that I needed to come back. I needed to come back home and serve my community. So just a little bit about my background. I started my career in a psychiatric inpatient unit at UAMS. So we did comprehensive psychological testing. The kids were there for about a month, for 28 days, and we were heavily involved in providing very detailed
recommendations for the education system, for family, for therapy, for just wherever they are, wherever they are, helping people to work with them. Currently, I am in private practice. I'm the founder and owner of Shalom Wellness Services, and I am in contract with different settings. So I continue to provide therapy for children up to young adults, and that does sometimes include their families, as you mentioned. And then the other part of my time is working with a group of folks at UAMS and A-State doing trauma-informed care, primarily in the school systems, and then I also work in the healthcare system, both of which are child-serving settings. So when I talk about trauma-informed care, that's largely what we've been hearing about today, is how to create psychologically and emotionally safe spaces for children to learn and reach their full potential. That also involves family partnerships, and that also involves thinking about workplace wellness and what does it mean for the staff members to also feel safe in the environment that they are in, so they can teach well and fully be in their position in a healthy way. So, but to answer your question, so the question was with the parent training. So the part that I would bring to this initiative would be some involvement in the parent training, and then also staff professional development. And so again, that's a large part of what we do with trauma-informed care. It's a lot involved with training staff and also providing support for staff and families. So I would say with the parent training portion, as a mental health provider, we have to be very clear about whether we are engaging in a therapy relationship with somebody. So I would say that it wouldn't, in terms of what my role would be, it wouldn't be to be providing family therapy. So like I wouldn't have the role as their therapist, because that becomes a very legal and ethical conversation. But in terms of would it be therapeutic? Would it be helpful? I very much think so. So a lot of what I do, like literally what I'm really passionate about, is providing that parent support and parent training. So, for example, one of the things that I do is literally like meet with families, meet with parents, and we talk about that you have to have your own self-regulation skills. You have to have your own social skills. You have to have your own ability to be able to be calm in a situation and to be aware of yourself. And so for them, they may say, even though I'm not their direct therapist, I think they would probably say that is helpful and therapeutic and helps them to be better parents for their children. So that could still be a part of providing parents with education that they may feel helps them personally, and then that helps them to be able to more effectively parent their child. Just for like the legal ethical line, I wouldn't call that me being their therapist. That's providing them with very helpful education.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Director Strong?
Did you say for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know I have 3 questions, but I'll try to be fast. I will just say from the district perspective, whoever is in charge of all of these programs, and I am not totally sure from where I am sitting right now, I think it would be helpful to have like a flow chart maybe that tells us how we get students into the various programs, and is it by the school they attend? Is it about what their diagnosis is? It sounds like we are all doing a lot of great work to help students get into various programs, and I am not totally sure about how you flow into one versus another.
We have those and we'll share them with you.
Okay, that would be really great. Secondly, I wondered about you were talking about the $864,000 from the CCEIS program. I was just looking on the ADE website. It looks like those dollars can be used for early childhood as well. Are we doing that with is that what's helping support the behavioral classrooms in early childhood too?
So no, because Esther Jones, who's over early childhood, received a large grant. You'll have to confirm that with her.
Yep.
To implement the behavior program in early childhood.
Okay.
And so she's funding her behavior classrooms, her behavior support in the early childhood. But we are going to be working with them on some initiatives that her staff had asked about during our leadership. So we're going to be working with them.
Okay. That's what I was kind of thinking, alignment across from early childhood into the K-12 system would be great, especially since some of those funds can be used there. And then lastly, and I'll hop out of the line, is I would also, as just from a board perspective, like to see the agreements between all the organizations that are
Sure.
part of this. Having had a history in school-based health, it sounds like school-based health or school-based mental health programs that are operating with providers coming on the campus to provide actual direct healthcare services to kids. And I wasn't totally clear from what was said about whether or not there was prescribing happening. And so if we are prescribing, I'd like to see those agreements. I just want to make sure we are protecting ourselves from a HIPAA and
Right.
FERPA perspective, and where all the things are being documented, and whether the health is being documented in a HIPAA protected health record and school stuff is being documented in a FERPA protected, HIPAA protected health record, school protected FERPA record.
Gotcha. No, no prescribing.
Okay, so there is no prescribing.
No.
Okay. So it is all just like counseling about potential medication.
Therapy, yes.
Are you coordinating at all with a child's medical home?
Am I coordinating what?
With a child's medical home?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said. With
Oh, just with a child's medical home, their usual primary care.
If there's any prescribing done, it is done by the PCP.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
Yes, that is how we're operating now. We're doing support for the students for those behaviors that we don't have the expertise to provide. if
Gotcha,
that
okay.
makes sense.
Just trying to make sure, but regardless of all that, I think the flow chart and just seeing those agreements that are in place to help kind of clearly define the different partnerships would be really helpful.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thanks, y'all.
I'm sorry, were you
Another
finished?
question?
Director Strong, yes, ma'am. Director Calloway.
Very excited about what your plans are. Good to see you all. This is so important to me, having to have gone through some of those kinds of experiences, but hate to be the elephant in the room, but what happens if, let's say, that bill passes and they take so much money, additional money, because she's already taken $50 million, from our educational programs and employment in private schools who do not offer these types of services. Okay, what do we do then?
So where we are now, I have probably have had this question for the State Department every week since all of this started. IDEA law is still IDEA law. Federal funding is still available under IDEA. That law has not been changed. Federal funding is still available under IDEA as it stands. If something changes and, because we were like, well, what if they could do away with the Department of Education? How does that affect us? And she said, and I am told that IDEA, that it would have to go higher or deeper than just doing away with the Department of Ed, because you still have these federal laws, then that would have to be changed or affected in some way. So I don't have the answer to, what if the powers that be just snatches all funding, from, I think that there are a lot of layers that our country would have to go through to dissolve federal laws right now that support students with disabilities.
That's my biggest concern.
Yeah, but it's all of our concern, of course, but I don't have the answer to that. So, but we will monitor and adjust as educators do.
We do.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Calloway. Any other questions? So, as it relates to 6.3, autism, program at Western Hills Elementary School. Ready to transition? Come. And this is just affirming school culture. The program has helped to affirm school culture by promoting inclusivity, empathy, and respect for diverse learning needs, reflecting the LRSD's commitment to supporting the whole child by addressing academic, social, emotional, and sensory needs through individual support.
All right, it's evening now, so good
Yes,
evening to the
ma'am.
board. Thank you for your time. Again, I am Angelica Carter, so I'm the program coordinator for our autism program that we rolled out this school year, in addition to our behavior, which we're changing the narrative to transition program. And so I'm so excited to give you just a brief, very brief update of where we are in terms of you implementing that program within the Division of Special Programs. Just like Coach Davis, I know he's not in here, Coach Davis mentioned, I believe in giving people their flowers while home. But in addition to that, our paraeducators that are in those classrooms, collecting the data, doing the work, implementing all the plans along with the teachers. So I just want you to please just look at those names. In the pictures, you will see our teachers. Miss Rachel Dunn is the first one you see in the middle. Miss Nicole Williamson, who was a novice teacher this year and took on this undertaking. And Miss Kelly Kamunga, who was our 3 through 5 teacher. So we had a K1 classroom, kindergarten through second, and then a 3 through 5. Under the direction of our principal, Miss Pamela Freeman. So this is a little fancy. How do I click on Pamela Freeman's name? Can we click on Pamela Freeman's name? It's a link. She could know, just to frame that is the work that was done at Western Hills. It was done quietly, it was done with a lot of hard work, but I just want to acknowledge the staff, because without these teachers, and a lot of our paraeducators are actually moving forward to teaching positions. So super excited with what we've been able to do with this program. One of the other things that we've been able to do, I'm scared to click on the link because it might not go, but we have already, we have implemented also a therapy sensory room. So our therapy and sensory space is not just, when you see the presentation, you should be able to do that. But we created a sensory room that allowed for students to have a place to de-escalate when they were frustrated, but to also provide that sensory input ahead of time. What I try to impart upon staff is there's a big difference between a sensory space and the de-escalation space. This sensory space is to give students that sensory input before the problems start, when you see that they need that sensory input. And because Western Hills is a small building, we share that space with our therapists, our speech language pathologists, our occupational therapists, our physical therapists. Half of that room was for therapy, the other half was for sensory regulation and input. So hats off to our related service providers. Something else that our speech therapists, our occupational therapists, and our physical therapists also did, they helped to integrate our students into the classroom. When the educator or the paraeducator could not be there, those therapists were right in there helping those students to transition back into the general ed setting, into the general ed setting. So this program would not be working without our teachers, paraeducators, and our therapists. So just hats off to them for the work they've done. In full transparency, because this was a pilot program, I wanted to know what the staff thought about the program and what do we need to move forward. I think that all of the students showed growth. The one student that we did not see in the entire program that did not show growth, we had a meeting and realized that that was not the appropriate setting for that child, and the parent agreed. But all the rest of the students, we increased their language, we increased the way that they're able to self-regulate. One of the biggest things, and I'm so proud of, is the decreasing of elopement. If you guys don't know what that is a kid who not just eloped from the classroom, they may attempt to elope from the building. We saw students who would not participate, that now we're not worried about them leaving the classroom. We're not worried about them attempting to leave the building. So hats off to the team again for decreasing those problem behaviors and increasing the behaviors we want to see, and especially their language development and their social skills. The staff program evaluation survey gave us some very key points of things that we need to, as a department, move forward with, things that they need. Clarity and communication. After the survey was given to the staff and to the parents, we met the Division of Special Programs, myself, Ms. Steele, in addition to the building principal and our associate superintendent, Dr. Cooper. We all met together to see what else we could do to move forward with planning. One of those things was maybe clarifying and communicating the goals of the program, more student support. It's hard to find those paraeducators that want to support students. So we do want to increase that support in case someone's out, someone's sick. We want to have that extra support available for staff. Training and resources. A lot of the staff noticed specific things that they wanted to be trained upon, so we're looking at intensifying the training they receive. Ms. Freeman has already set up some additional training with the curriculum that we use, which is the STAR curriculum, and if you are not familiar, that curriculum is tailored and is research-based for students with autism, and it uses applied behavior analysis principles. Environment and staffing, one of the things we are working on is our physical spacing. The teachers really did ask for that sensory space to be separate from the therapy room, so that way they're not disturbing therapy if the students do need that sensory input, okay? Another thing was insufficient staffing to contribute to unmet needs, and again, I mentioned that when students are transitioning into those classrooms, we had several students within our autism program that were transitioning out into the general ed setting. We need staff to be able to do that. Another piece is the lack of general education classes. Due to some classes decreasing at Western Hills, it made it difficult. There was only one kindergarten classroom. So when you have a kindergarten classroom, our students in the autism program back into the general ed setting. Another piece was the challenges and improvements, and they just talked about just behavioral challenges. One of the things that we're very clear about is that with the autism program, just because it says it's the autism program, student with autism need more support behaviorally. Well, they may need our behavior transition program. If what's prohibiting them from being successful in the classroom is their behavior, then maybe they need more of the behavioral support as opposed to that applied behavior analysis programming that we have in the autism program. Just more training, better environment, stronger support systems, positive feedback all around. The parents were so excited. We had students that went on field trips for the first time. I didn't put any pictures of the students that we serviced. This year it was 16. Next year we're trying to move. It was 16. Next year we're trying to move up to 24 and max each class out as 8. I could see this the district because we can specialize and set the narrative for how we serve students on the autism spectrum by what we're doing here in Little Rock School District. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Questions? Yes. Director Ball.
No, I don't have a question. I just got a comment.
Okay.
I'm just very impressed with all three of the presentations about Wildcat Achievers, as well as the programs for autism. Just to hear the talks about closing the gaps and how we can reimagine and support for students to make it a more inclusive and equitable environment. And just understanding that, the more we learn and time progresses, things change and we can continue to implement those new strategies. So just a great job to everybody.
Absolutely, thank you.
Absolutely. More comments or questions? Yes, ma'am. Director Callums.
I'm real excited. My school. About the program. Now, my question being, and I've been posed this by various people, like, I know there's a X number of students can be there. Back in the day, 8 was like what you were supposed to have, but a lot of times it ran over. Now, is there a waiting list to get into that particular program?
Not yet. What we're starting is building our rosters. As we are the Division of Special Programs, we're holding early childhood transition conferences now. So we've already had a few interested parents that are saying, hey, we heard about this program at Western Hills and we would like to tour. Ms. Freeman, before school closed, gave several tours to prospective early childhood parents. So right now, all of the classes are not in this programming at maybe another elementary school in the district, another caveat district. So that way we decrease the amount of time that your child is out in the clinic and increasing the time that they're in the classroom.
Another question I have, just because it does require fewer students
Yes.
and whatever, and more people to be involved. And, we're getting cut, and I'm so sorry, y'all, but I'm so into this budget thing that it's, and because everything is going on. Is there a way that we could possibly, if we have these programs and these services here, and I'm not talking about increased enrollment, but, maxed out, like, for instance, we're getting cut because we only have, let's say, 18,000 students, okay? And so we're still getting cut.
Yes.
Is there a way that we get special needs money is there a different, a budget for special needs, or are you all being facilitated with the regular students? There should be more money. And I'm just asking that question because I really don't know.
I'm not going to speak for Ms. Steele in terms of how much money we get per student,
There you go.
but it does make a difference if that student is enrolled in Little Rock School District at the start of the year versus if we get a student
Right.
that is enrolled at a charter school or a private school and then they transfer after October 1, and then that school has already received those funds and then we don't. What I will say in terms of increasing the number of classes, we tried kind of a hybrid situation for one of our students, and that way, if we have a student who needs that smaller setting for part of the day, maybe for literacy support, then that child can be in the general ed setting, maybe for math and specialty classes, because then you could increase the number of students that you have in a class like that. But in terms of funding, I think that is coming per student that we have enrolled in the district.
I guess this would be legislation.
Yeah.
To get more money for our special needs people. I think a lot of people are not looking at that, because I always thought, but then I found I was wrong, that we got more money per, and I think sitting on this board for the last 5 years, I really realized how they do cut us. And we're expecting to go forward as we should
Yeah.
with that, but yet and still, we're operating, and I guess the whole district needs to understand that we're providing services that they do not get in public, in charter schools or in private schools that are needed.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people are trying to make it seem as if the public schools, we're just kind of trash. But I think that public schools are, it's what we need for everybody. That's what Horace Mann meant when he started out with public education. We need more money for public schools. And the young lady who spoke earlier about getting more money and this bill and whatever, well, we know what they're gonna do. But regardless, I think that if more people spoke out like she did,
The things under the direction of Ms. Steele that we've done is reach out for some grant funding. So one of the
Right.
things we've done for the Wildcat Achievers Academy is we've submitted a grant to Blue Cross Blue Shield. We're trying to get money and funds to help build a calming room so that
Right.
way the
Oh, that's
district is
good.
not incurring the cost of a
Right.
sensory space. Another thing that we're doing in terms of our professional development is working with DESE and the Arkansas Behavior Support Specialists because they have an inordinate amount of professional developments that are all free, including Project Aware, where they will come and do the trauma-informed classroom. So we are trying to figure out all the ways to bring in the programming and the funding that will not incur costs to the district and to the department.
great.
Thank you so much, and thank you. Question? Do you have something strong?
Just a comment
You have-
about it. Thank you very much for what you're doing, and it's really encouraging. My wife is a special education teacher and works with kids mostly with autism in a special needs school. So, and they have a waiting list to get there. And so I don't know how we reach some of those people, but it seems like there's the demand there. And part of it is earning and for part things that a special needs school only just could not provide. So I think we have some space to provide people what they need and also to, be a good competitor for some of those people to say, we have something, a good service we can provide that could even be different and might be a better fit for some kids.
Absolutely.
So I hope we can do that.
Hopefully so.
And so thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Word of mouth recruitment. One of the things we're doing is Ms. Freeman at her back to school bash she's going to allow. She lovingly named the autism program the Eagle's Nest because the Western Hills, they are the Eagles. So our autism program, they are the Eagle's Nest. And so the Eagle's Nest will be out there recruiting and giving information to parents, also providing that parent training on how they can use some of these practices and principles at home. So yes, we do need to get more parents and more students.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. Mr. Bailey? Where are you? There you are. I believe 7.1, perhaps 2 and 3, is that correct?
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you all so much. So our background policy 7.2 states that the district treasurer shall present a statement on the general financial condition of the district monthly to the board. We're going to move on to 1, 2, and 3 if possible. Is that possible?
Say 1, 2, and 3?
If possible.
If possible. Yeah,
I mean, you know, take your time.
anything's possible.
but you- Hey.
We'll make it happen.
Started up to
All right.
possibility. Up to the Lord. Excuse me.
What'd you say, President West?
Nothing.
All right. Good evening, board. I'll
Good evening.
try to go through here as quick and but thorough as possible here. I'm on time. Time already gone off.
Mr.
All
Bailey,
right.
did you need, on point 2, did you need Ms. Walker Hines,
Let
or
me see.
will you cover that? Stephanie Walker
She's
Hines?
right behind you.
Okay.
She'll be in here, yeah. There she
Okay,
is,
so,
yeah.
you know, just,
Let me go down and make sure I'm in the order. Matter?
yeah.
Yeah.
1 is fine, it's first one, I just
Okay,
didn't want to,
gotcha.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, she wouldn't leave me
Okay.
high and dry, so.
All right.
This is our
No
May
pressure.
2025 financial update here. Typically, it's following pretty much the same on this account, 11110 here, 2.3 million over collections for that first half of the year. The second half of the year, we were still awaiting about 80, we budgeted 86 million, so we were still waiting about 6 million on that on this report here. We actually got in about 5 million, so we're about $1 million so short. Overall, on overall tax revenue, we over collected about 356,000, so we hit our projected mark there, so that's good. And you'll see that reflected in the actual June's report when you get it as well. As we go down, we still had a few things that I've kept these highlighted in red as we go into this next budget year. We can kind of look at it as far as overtime and different other things. So architect service and other professional services, and especially construction services, is one of the reasons that another agenda items here that we have to cover a little bit later. So, but these are some of the things we're looking at as well. Some of these still had encumbrances out there, so we'll look at a come down that we have in the red, but we're watching them for this upcoming year to make sure that appropriate budget is put out there and actually categorize some, because the departments actually have the autonomy and the schools have the autonomy to actually select the areas, and some of them were a little bit off. So classified overtime was expected because we had several vacancies out there, so you had custodial and other personnel, secretary, staff that worked over, but we're looking at addressing some of that as well this upcoming year with some time keeping measures. As we go down, this is what our fund balance looked like as of that end of May 2025. So operating fund balance was almost 48 million when we ended it up. Capital improvement fund balance was going down 24 million. Federal fund balance was actually negative. We had quite a few outstanding receivables expected to receive at the end of the month. So most of them have come in by now as well. So child nutrition she spent some money. She's back there smiling. I've been talking about, but she's done a lot of upgrades around the district. So if you've gone in some of the, especially the high school cafeterias and other places, or middle schools as well, you can see some of those enhancements that's been there. So right at about $1.1 million there. As we go through here and look at this this picture here of this graph here, and make it bigger for y'all younger folk like me. You can kind of see that yellow line represents our Fund 3, which is our capital improvement fund. So we've been spending that down. You saw it got a little bit low, then it popped back up. That's when we got our next series of bonds out there. So we're getting back low again. So it's going to be time for us to try to get some more money in to finish those capital improvement fund projects out there. The gray line is actually what's Fund 1 and 2, our teacher fund, along with our regular operating fund. And it includes all the categorical funding as well. So you can kind of see it ebbs and flows, and we're right here. So we're going to see where we're going to finish up this year, hopefully a little bit better than what we actually budgeted. So as we go through kind of to this summary piece here. So if you have any questions, anything, I can address them at this time.
Question.
Mr. Bailey, and I can't hear or see if anybody else is talking. How are you feeling like we're gonna end up in October? When it drops to its lowest point usually?
October, Well, I'm trying to see how we're gonna feel in September before then, so, as we looking through, budget reductions, so we have a lot of personnel changes going on right now. As far as, I don't foresee our cash flow balance, I mean, the biggest part is probably gonna be our capital improvement as we spend down, so I'm getting all the schedules together now, so as, Mr. Trump will come up here a little bit later with me doing a presentation as we propose to get up to 75 million, we may not need it all. Everything is pretty much costing quite a bit more now, especially on capital improvements or FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment that we're ordering out there. With all the tariffs and everything else that might be pending and looming or in place, we're not sure what the future is gonna call for. I know construction costs won't go down, so that's over as far as getting those lower, construction, projects out there. So, we have been getting pretty good bids when we put things out, but, I'd say we're gonna have to tread very careful. Make sure we make all the personnel reductions we need to, making sure we're looking at every aspect of the district we can. Hopefully enrollment will plateau or grow at least, so we don't know that quite yet. So, the tax base seems to be solid, so I don't see it change. It's really just based on your student enrollment and things like that. But we don't have the ability to really grow revenue. I teach classes quite a bit, but we do have the ability to adjust our expenditures, so that's the part. So we can't go out and sell more widgets and things, but we can recruit students and try to retain the students we have and do that, but typically that funding is about a year behind, so not sure what other funding changes may occur, but some of those things are yet to be determined, so I don't know if I answered your question or not, but I would say we're gonna tread lightly, and by in the next month or so, we should have a better idea of where we are at that point, so, but we will have to watch cash flow quite a bit.
I was just wanting to make sure that little gray line's not gonna hit the bottom.
I hope not. I'm gonna hit the bottom too if it is.
Please don't.
No. So
All right.
we should be good.
Anything else? Okay, I entertain a motion.
Financial report is submitted.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second, moved by Director Johnson, seconded by Director Barley, that the LRSD Board accept the May 2025 financial report as submitted. Any questions or comments? Moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed? The motion carries.
All right, next.
All ayes. Okay.
So we have 7.2, and I'm gonna call up my favorite director of child nutrition to come join me up here to talk about this community eligibility provision here, known as CEP. So something we've been talking about for years. We've been kind of apprehensive. We wanted to make sure everything was worked out and make sure it's gonna be benefit for our district as well. So she is a wealth of knowledge here and sits on a lot of boards, so she has a lot of information. So hopefully she'll be fairly brief, but answer whatever questions.
Fairly brief. I'm his favorite director across the board. Let me just clear that up.
All right.
Okay. Tonight. Okay, so should I assume that you've had an opportunity to kind of review, to ask? Okay.
Just tell them a little bit about just briefly.
And let me say this, community eligibility is a very good opportunity for us to feed more children, we qualify for it. The state is looking at our application. Of course, they can't move forward without your approval and vote tonight. But what it does is it'll give us an opportunity to provide free meals to all students with the exception of 3 schools. And that's just because they have a low claiming percentage, the Forest Park, Jefferson, and Roberts. So every student would get a free breakfast and a lunch at no cost. No one would be left out. Also, free breakfast would be at Forest Park, Jefferson, and Roberts, but not because of CEP. It removes the stigma from every day at all of our schools. We fed more children than we had ever fed in the district. And so that's the most important thing. It removes that barrier to those kids who don't want to go up to the cafeteria and see maybe a red box saying that they owe money. And lastly, it's because it's financial predictable. We would be able to, as Mr. Bailey said, we have definitely spent millions of dollars this last year and a half improving our serving lines, making them more up-to-date, they look nicer, they're more, we're able to get more students through the line. It's just more functional. As you know, a lot of our buildings were old, so those serving lines are also old. And so it would now allow us to go ahead across the board. With more money, we can make more improvements. There are several big board. With more money, we can make more improvements. There are several big elementary schools that I would like to improve the serving lines. We've already spent a lot of money updating the equipment, and a lot of our kitchens look so nice. I even got Mike Ellis to give me some free paint, so the kitchen could look better with paint and not just new equipment. So this new modality would give us an opportunity to feed all kids, take away the stigma, and reduce paperwork for families and for this district, and more importantly, feed more students. You want the update? We would not have any meal debt except at those 3 sites. And then they do a pretty good job of mostly paying. We still have meal debt, of course. Right, okay, but we would not have any meal debt anymore at the majority of our schools.
That's one of the benefits out here, so you're serving lunch at no cost for the students, so they won't accumulate meal debt unless it's alcohol or something like that.
Right.
Okay, questions? Director Callaway?
Are we just talking about elementary or entire?
No, all of our schools.
Okay.
So all of the schools before that, we had the debt, that would now include Central and Parkview and Pulaski Heights, Forest Heights, Pinnacle View, Fulbright, Gibbs.
I'm ready to make the motion.
Okay.
Oh,
You gonna feed all the kids?
Okay, I think that really this needs to be publicized more, because
Yes.
some conversation I've had with some other people, they don't understand this. They know that's not happening. Just because you said it doesn't mean it's gonna happen. I said, well, that's the understanding that I have, that's what we're trying to do. So maybe if that were like advertised a little bit more, that, people might be interested in bringing their kids back, maybe, that would be a positive spin on things. But I think you're doing great.
Thank you. And absolutely, we do plan, I have a new person who will be starting July 28th, who will definitely be helping us with our marketing, social media, and different, of course, through our communications department. But we plan to get a lot of bright, positive videos and social media posts out there to not only highlight what we do well, because we feed a lot of customers,
Right.
but also because we want to increase participation
Right.
and allow families to know what it is we do and why we do what we do.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair will
Madam-
entertain a motion.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I move that the LRSD Board accept and approve the recommendation to proceed with the necessary application and implementation steps required by the Arkansas Department of Education and USDA to implement the Community Eligibility Provision, CEP.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Mason and seconded by Director Callaway that the LRSD Board accept and approve the recommendations to proceed with the necessary application and implementation steps required by the Arkansas Department of Education and USDA to implement the Community Eligibility Provision, CEP. Any other questions, comments? If none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And 7.3, proceeding with the issuance of second lien bonds, an action item.
I'm gonna call my next friend up here, Mr. Jack Trumpet from Stevens, but this is one we talked about as well, so we knew when we went, well, I guess when we initially started the project of going out before and restructuring our debt, we had an idea of what everything was gonna potentially cost, but of course, the pandemic hit during that time, prices gone up quite a bit. We've had, some other projects that come on, like we were talking about, at Pinnacle View, Middle School, we had neighbors coming kind of complaining about the noise of the chillers there. As we were investigating and we kept investigating, but probably a few months later, we found out those chillers were failing, so you all approved that, I think, on, last month, a month before, $7 million or something like that, so you're having those things that's occurring over because our buildings are aged, so this is one we're coming back where we can actually try to get additional funds up to $75 million, to help finish those projects we currently have out there. Of course, the major projects we still have going on is the Pinnacle View High School. We also have Central High baseball field we finish up, and Parkview Auditorium. If you go by, we got quite a bit going on a lot of sites. We have, some mechanical upgrades going on throughout the district. One of the other things we were looking at as well, we had a lot of mechanical upgrades identified, probably about $15 million of mechanical. Our hope was that we'd be able to get some of the federal fund major round is gonna flow now, so we're still going through that. So we need to make plans on replacing a lot of those mechanical units out there. So we'll kind of get updated at that point.
Chief Bailey, question regarding historical tax credits. Do we qualify for historical tax credits for buildings over 50 years old?
Well, we don't really need tax credits because we don't pay taxes, so I think you could partner with somebody, and this may be somebody, I'm not sure if you have any experience on that. So yeah, typically if you have an investor or somebody that may want to come in and partner with you, you could do something, and they could take advantage of the tax credit, but for our district, we can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're talking about up to about $12 million now.
Yeah, so we've been to go, I think, so, we continue to write those grants as we can, so, but the one I was talking about, the Renew America grant, we are gonna have to need some mechanical systems out there, so this is part of the fund, the additional funds, if we have a little bit left over, that we can address some of those things as well, but of course, finish our current projects up.
Director Strong?
Mr. Bailey, I'm pretty sure you can sell those tax credits. So I don't know all of the details of it, but I do know somebody has offered to work with us in the past and volunteer her time. I can reach back out to her if that's something we're interested in, because you can sell those tax credits, and I believe you're able to do that as a public school district based on what I understood from that person.
Okay, yep, please put them in contact. We've talked to a few people in the past, but yeah, we'll definitely explore it.
Okay, other questions?
Please ask Mr. Trump all the hard questions.
I think he's doing great. Okay.
I just have one quick one.
Okay.
So with the financial strategic plan, at what point are we gonna do a financial strategic plan? Because we have cuts now, we had cuts last year, we're gonna have cuts next year. So, so we know we have these cuts, but then we still haven't done a financial strategic plan. It's been asked, do you know when or if that will happen? Which actually, that is really within the preview of the board to actually go ahead and make a motion to do a strategic financial plan, but.
So I think you can look at maybe a 5-year plan. It doesn't have to be strategic, but looking at personnel. So one of the things you all put in place this past year was actually staffing ratios, an updated staffing ratios, and this is what we should be going by based on whether they're priority or non-priority school and sticking to that. So that's one of the big parts. There are probably going to be some changes maybe on state funding and different items that may come about. I know foundation funding is going to increase this year based on increased contribution for insurance rates, but the following year is going to go down because the state districts would no longer have to contribute toward insurance premiums for employees. The state is going to direct all that money directly to EBD. Also, we're away from Arkansas School Board on actual risk management or insurance thing that's going to be handled with the state as well. We're waiting on those rates. So you have some changes coming about, but personnel is going to be the biggest part on that plan. We pretty much have cut on every other aspect we can, whether it's utility costs or whatever it might be, putting in different software to try to be more efficient with whatever it is across our business operations. So, but definitely we can address, and we probably need to get Mr. Trumper to come back, and we have some new board members. I don't think you've been with a few to do the financial presentation to make sure understanding the finance and everything like we did, I guess, probably 2 years ago, so.
And to add to that, in addition to Mr. Trumper coming back, more so, because that's more on the bonds and the millage, and that's good information to know, because that's how I learned it. But I'm speaking more about our budget, and I have a question about our study we did for compensation. Are we holding to that with the integrity of it, ensuring that equity is just staying within that. I mean, because then we know that positions have been paid over. We had legal battle that created inequity within pay, and then it creates an opportunity for others to petition or demand to be paid at the same rate, not only at the principal level, but at other levels. So that's one of the reasons I would like to see a financial strategic plan, hopefully initiated by the board, to where we can get an understanding of that, and then to see just how imbalanced we are with that last compensation study we did just a few years ago.
Yep, that'll probably be a joint venture between myself and Chief Burgess as well, and probably superintendent and with you all, so.
Exactly.
But I'm always open to sit down and have discussions whenever y'all want to, so I think probably next month would probably be a good time to start looking at some of those budget discussions, kind of looking at those agenda, I guess, what do we call them now, the agenda meetings? Yeah. Agenda meetings, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Any
yeah.
other questions or comments? Okay, we'll entertain a motion. We'll entertain a motion.
I move that the RSD Board approve the attached resolution to proceed with the insurance of second lien bonds.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Director Johnson and second by, is that Director Adams?
Yes.
Okay. Director Adams, you must be getting tired, your voice is changing a little bit. That the LRSD Board approved the attached resolution to proceed with the issuance of second lien bonds. All in favor? Any question, comment? All in favor, say aye. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Moving on to communication and community engagement, 8.1. 8.1, so we've grown pretty accustomed to this. This is specific to Act 503 of, oh, you guys want to start?
No, it's one of my divisions. I didn't know if y'all had any questions
Oh,
about the
okay.
bid
Well,
process,
go
so
ahead
yeah.
and say it. No, go ahead and say
I don't have anything to present on it, but I
it.
don't
Okay,
think
but if you have questions, does anyone have questions?
I do have
Okay.
a question. Typically, we don't pay, it. Okay,
Thank you.
so is this to put a RFP out for the, I see it's two separate things. Well, is this for the redistricting of, or the right to go to 7 members, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, the company to do the redistricting, yeah, I propose.
So we typically don't pay for this, like either, so why are we gonna put why would, is it responsible to pay for something we typically don't pay for? Like Metro Plan, like we have really good partners that typically does this, whether it's GIS, Metro Plan. So why are we putting a RFP out instead of,
Even racial, whatever, in the schools and everything else, I think Director Strong had, I saw her hand up, not sure if she had some, but we wouldn't pay for anything that we could get for free out there. This was probably just honestly, this was the cheapest proposal on there, but it ended up being the most responsible proposal based on the committee as well, so it's.
and who was the committee? Because normally we'll have Shelby do it. So who was on the, he's with GIS. Who was on the committee?
Let's see on the evaluation results.
My understanding, I've talked pretty extensively with Dr. Wright about this, if I may be recognized, Madam Chair, sorry.
No, it's
hard for-
okay. It sounds like something you guys want to discuss.
Yeah, but he and I had talked pretty extensively about this, just to get an update on where we are.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Oh, no, I'm really sorry. It's y'all are super, super quiet for me. But he and I had talked pretty extensively about just this process and where we were, and neither Metro Plan nor GIS, the Shelby at GIS, were available to do it in the time we needed them to do it. So that's why we had to put out an RFP.
You know, my only thing with that, and it's just, I'll just say that, I think that's probably one of the splits or divides within the board. It is that we have these one-on-ones and we don't have these group discussions, because I wouldn't have known that. And that's something that the entire board should have been privy to and had discussion on and all that, because typically if, whether it's us up here listening or else Little Rock or beyond, there is always these it appears to be a lot of one-on-ones where decisions or framing happens, and then it's absent right of the entire board, which then creates a severe inequity within the board, particularly among our zones and potentially the ones that are going to be the most impacted by it, because we typically are seeing that those that will be least impacted are the ones that get the most one-on-one with having these type of discussions absent of bringing it right to the entire board.
So-
I'm not saying it directly to you, but I'm just
Sure.
saying that, well, like there is a pattern of it.
So I noticed, I want to say that there was a time that we had questions that we sent in and everyone had an opportunity to review those. Is that accurate? Do I recall that
But
being
that's
the case?
equivalent to that's equivalent to speaking within isolation of the board. Before, we would have large discussions, and two, I'm not saying that it's gonna change because it's been like this now for a couple of years now, but it's these one-on-ones which then it takes away from our constituents that have us here to represent the zone, because all zones are not being fairly represented or giving the same amount of time or equity without, anyway, it's silos.
I'd like to make a point of order. I don't know that this is on
Okay.
topic. this
Okay,
agenda
so,
item.
okay. Yeah, I think it's on topic, but I think that we just want to make sure that the communication is narrow. Director Adams?
I just want to make a comment. I don't, we've had a lot of discussions about this because we've had to in the last few months, but I was aware also that the way we were going to do it wasn't going to work, and we had to put out an RFP for this. And I don't recall honestly if that was discussed in an agenda meeting or in a board report, but it was something that I got in a discussion that we had before. But I think we need to move as quickly as we can
Yeah,
on
just
this,
because
and I
of the
appreciate
urgency of
that
it.
the process happened, and I'd be willing to move, I'll go ahead and move that the LRSD board approve the recommended vendor agreement with Citygate GIS LLC to assist LRSD with the drawing of the 7 new board zones.
Okay, it's been.
Second.
Second, okay, it's been moved and properly second.
I have a question.
So does he, 1 second. That the LSD board approve the recommendation vendor agreement with Citygate LLC, GIS LLC, to assist LRSD with the drawing of the new 7 board zones. Questions, it's been moved and properly second. Questions and concerns, I think Director Bali.
Yeah, you call me doctor if you want to. I was just curious because, you know, in the past when presentations have happened, you know, we get opportunity to talk and ask questions, and I see Citygate GIS is on this. And I just was curious if there was gonna be any community input or involvement in the boundary or rezoning process, because I think it's just something that's essential to making sure there's a fair and a non-discriminatory, you know, zoning, and we need community input on that.
Okay, another question?
Of course, you know, I was against all of the above, okay?
Mr. Bailey? Could you? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Which part?
Which part? I'd say all above.
I just want to make sure we have someone, because I think
Okay.
we may have some questions that perhaps need
So I
response.
think on Director Bali, all of them actually had a community input in the timeline out there. My understanding, there was a tight turnaround time on here, so once we got it from Dr. Wright, it went to procurement. I mean, they did a quick turnaround, put it out for RFP. I mean, we had to, pretty much, we evaluated in a day or two make sure y'all could get it before you, so the project can start. I know March will be here before you know it. I think that's when the election has to be, so the redistricting has to be done before then. But all of them had, I know it's gonna have a lot of input from a lot of different aspects of it, so, Dr. Wright may be able to answer a little bit more.
I just have one question.
Hold on, we were there,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Callaway, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was not here the other day for a lot of reasons, when y'all had the agenda meeting, whatever that was. However, I do object to the whole process, without a doubt. Was wondering about community input. I was wondering, who are these people? Who are the other folks that could have possibly been it? I know how it was done prior to our election in 2020. And this looks like a complete turnaround from what has been done. And it should be more, the process should be more, it should be a little bit more explanatory than what it is. Now, we don't know how they're gonna split this up at all. And they said it's according to the amount of the people who have the numbers in their district. Now, we're looking at like bigger areas, or the whole districts are going to be redone. So this is going to be an extra expense on Pulaski County, Little Rock School District, or whatever, for this election that a lot of people will probably not turn out to. Now, I think it's an unnecessary expense, my point being. However, I did not read, nor did I see where they were, they had named a specific person. Now, right here, it says Citygate, and that's who that they want. But are there any other entities? Because prior to, when they drew up the 9 districts, that was done with the help of someone with, in the Little Rock School District, who was more aware. You know, I'm not trying to be a fly in the ointment, but I see why this is not really, it's not really fair. And, because I don't understand it.
So we went out, so we can get that as well, but I guess the tabulation results are here, so we had 3 vendors actually submitted proposals. You had
But you
city.
didn't show that here.
Yes, it's part of the agenda. All that's part of, yeah, it's quite a bit of detail down there. So if you go down there, I forgot how many pages it is, but the tabulation is just 1 page. You had Citygate, you had, AR Bridge Consultant, MGT Impact Solutions there as well. And then if, that's on that first thing, but if you go ahead and click the next one as well. And the Citygate GIS LLC proposal is quite a few pages, 27 pages to go through. Understand, I can't speak for Dr. Wright. I'm assuming you all would have some additional discussion.
Is there any relationship?
Mr. Bailey,
to
we
any
received an
of-
email about this on May 30th,
Hold on.
and there was
Directors.
extreme detail about that. So that's all. I mean, this has been in multiple emails, and there's a ton of information on our
Okay.
board packet about it.
Again,
Okay, Director Haddon was speaking. Go ahead.
again, so it's a great example and illustration of how communications are not happening about serious and issues like this in public, because like this should have been a group, this should have been a board discussion. And then the other thing is that there at least should have been at least 1 board member on the committee for this. And then I'm not really trying to hash out, you know, every bid came from out of state. Maryland, Virginia, and Florida are the ones who made the top 3 bids, which is hard to believe that like there aren't any companies within just the state of Arkansas or just central Arkansas that would have been able to meet these bids of $12,000 even. But I'm not going to hash out the issues of the board not fully having discussions, because right as you see, the ones who are aware, they are the areas that's gonna have the most least impact. So,
So point of order.
but no, it's
Let's-
with, it's
Point
within.
of order, we're not going to make implications about this or that. Let's just please stick to the question or the comment
Well, the
specific to the issue, please.
It is within, and then it is within, although speaking about equity, is a popular thing, but then whenever we point out inequity within practice, we wanna say point of order, we wanna shut it down. But all of this is within it. We are public, figures, and then we are supposed to have, debate, and debate is not always something negative, and so, that is one thing I do hope that the board move away from by acting and being scared or skittish about having, these type of conversations, but it's all within, and there is a motion, right on the table.
Yes, okay. So it's been moved and properly seconded. Any other comments?
I have one
Any other
question. I just have
comments?
one question,
Director
'cause I'm
Johnson.
curious.
Director
Okay,
Johnson. I'm
so
sorry, Director Johnson.
we had two companies that were too busy, so I'm trying to figure out, we did a RFP, so who reached out to the two companies? Did they respond to our
So on
RFP, or somebody just reached out to them and called them and said, hey?
So on our RFPs, we use Iron and Wave, so it gives you specific, so if you go and sign up as a vendor, you want to be notified, so it's going to send you an email at that point to reply. This company actually, who you all will be voting on, actually worked with the state of Arkansas GIS. They use Chevy as a reference, so, I mean, that was part of their business as well, so I don't know what part that they played with Chevy, but he's on here as a reference as well, so.
So the other two companies that you mentioned earlier got the email, and they responded back
Well,
saying,
multiple companies would have gathered around, whoever, so we have, a ton of vendors that just signed up, they wanted to do the business with Little Rock School District, but, until RFP come out, it may not be an opportunity. No different than a marketing, whatever it might be, maybe a roof or whatever, it's gonna send it out to just say 100 folks. On that, it's gonna, tell you, our software tells you whether they responded or not, who it actually went to and all that, we can get that data for you. I'm not sure how many companies in Arkansas actually performs this type of work, so I'm assuming.
I know, but you had mentioned two companies didn't
Bailey,
have time,
if
so
I
I'm
may-
just curious.
Oh, no, that was
Okay.
Director Strong said that was
Oh, those,
somebody.
yeah, those two
Okay.
companies were
Thank you,
not available.
thank you.
If I-
Before you finish with your question, okay. Director Strong?
I
Did
was
you
just
have
gonna
another
say,
comment?
the email that I just forwarded you all, the email that we received, all of us received on 5:30, and it clearly states that the state GIS office recommended these three firms, and the district reached out to them to submit an RFP. One has worked with Shelby at GIS, the one we chose, or the district has chosen that is up for potential approval tonight, was the one that has worked with the state on past projects. So, I just want to say that for those who
Okay.
haven't had time to look at their board packet.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? So it's been moved and probably second that the LRSD Board approve the recommended vendor agreement with Citygate GIS LLC to assist LRSD with the drawing of the new 7 board zones. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. Any opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? Okay, could you guess? Raise your hands, please. Do you need a voice vote, or you have it? No. Okay. You tell me if the motion carries or fails.
So the motion fails.
So it fails because.
Ms. Wesley, I just have to
Yes.
express distress with this. We are on the timeline. We went through there was a proper RFP to go out and give people a chance to do this. This will put us a month behind and a month behind letting our community know what we're gonna be doing.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And if
so
I
we're-
may also, we will not be able to run if we don't finish this by August. The state has a deadline that Mr. Heller provided us, and we will not be able, we have to finish this before the timeline for the state, which is in August, and the companies need this amount of time. They only have a month.
So Director Strong, let me just go ahead and move forward to board comments. So
Might
go-
I ask that, might
go
I
ahead.
make a motion to purge the vote that, by which this failed?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'd like to make a motion to, I am blanking on the word, to purge that vote. And I see Mr. Kazay coming up.
Yes, ma'am.
We are not gonna be able to, we will not have a district, guys. We will vote ourselves out of this because we can't approve the vendor that has gone through a month-long process that we have clearly been communicated to about on this.
So
Mr. Kazay, what, might we, for that, I mean, okay, hang on, where is it? This was all in, let's see.
And Mr. Heller, he did say that he would be working and talking with the AG and others to see if we actually have to run because of the census coming up a short time later. So he did say that.
Sorry.
Let's go ahead and take a recess for 10 minutes and come back. Everyone will have an opportunity to take a look and then also take a look, Mr. Kazay, if you would. We'll go ahead and take a recess to 8:15. 8:15.
Okay, also, can I just note that I emailed
No,
the
we've
board?
taken a recess. We're taking a recess, dear. We'll be back in 12 minutes, okay?
You got to think about schools that close in my zone too. Baseline,
Okay,
Cloverdale.
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting back to order. Coming out of recess, Mr. Pizai.
Thank you for the recess board. Madam Chair, I'm looking at Robert's rules, items 37-9 and 37-10 on the motion to reconsider. Ms. Strong's attempt to make a motion to reconsider would properly be ruled out of order. Motion to reconsider can be made only by a member who voted with the prevailing side. Since the noes prevailed on that, the motion to reconsider would have to be brought by a no voting member. And the rule also says that once the motion is made, there's no limitation on who can offer the second. Anyone can offer a second. That's at 37-9, item 4. And it is debatable, but it is not amendable, and it requires only a majority vote, but under your rules, all of your votes are majority votes.
Okay.
So a
Thank
motion
you.
to reconsider could be made if one of the members wanted to.
Okay. Do we have an option? Do we have anyone who would like, yes?
I would like to move that we reconsider.
Okay. Reconsider the motion. Okay, so it's been moved that we could reconsider the motion that the LRSD board approve the recommended vendor agreement with Citygate GIS LLC to assist LRSD with the drawing of the new 7 board zones. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The
Unfortunately.
motion carries. Okay, so we're going to, any other comments that we need to
No.
entertain at this point? So we're gonna go ahead and move
No,
to.
no,
board-
then we would,
I'm sorry?
then
board
we,
comments.
then 8.1 is back on the
Yeah.
floor.
Okay.
That is what I was trying to tell you.
And I would move again, Ms. Wesley, that we approve.
Okay,
We approve 8.1.
okay.
Second.
I mean, you know, people always jump on
I move when most people talk because I never know, okay?
And
So it's been.
I would like to speak to that motion
Okay.
when it's appropriate.
Okay, so it's been moved and properly second that we approve, the board approve the resolution tonight. No, Lord, I'm going back to that one. Move that the LRSD board approve the recommended vendor agreement with Citygate GIS LLC to assist LRSD with the drawing of the new 7 board zones. It's been moved and properly second. Comments, questions? Yes.
Yes. I'd be glad to defer to Mr. Bali if you'd like to make your comment.
No, I just wanted to make sure she saw me. That's why I was
Oh, okay.
having my hand up. Okay,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bali. I just want to speak for the motion, and I wanted to say a couple of things. I know, I'm assuming, and that many of the board members feel like I do, that we wish we were not in this position at all. We don't like this law. We don't like that we have had 9 board members, board zones, because the state told us to, and that we've been living with that, and we've been functioning with that, and now we don't have a choice by law to do something else. We did discuss with Mr. Heller that there might be a way to challenge that law, and his recommendation to us, in my memory, is that he could explore that while we, at the same time, move forward so that we protect our interests. And I think that as board members, I really believe that our job is to protect the district's interests. And it is within the district's interest, within the district's interest to maintain having local governance. And if we would fail to draw new zones and for people could move to run, then we would not have a board. And we would be, in a very clear way, inviting the state to take over, because we would be saying that we are not capable of following the law and governing ourselves. I just voted tonight on a policy that I voted for as a certified policy, that has in it an onerous policy, which says that we are not to speak about unconscious bias, which is offensive and foolish. But the reason I voted for that is because the state has tied our hands, because it is a state law. And so I think that as responsible board directors, we are often put in a situation sometimes where we have to make a decision with what is the way to have the least harm and protect the good things that are happening in our district. And I think that even if there are those who have good faith concerns about this process, I would ask them to consider or reconsider supporting it so that we can protect the viability of our district.
Okay, Director Ball.
Like I asked earlier, I wanted some reassurance that there would be community input in this rezoning or redistricting process. We already know the history of Little Rock when it comes to desegregation and the litigation that's been going on since the 80s. We already know that there's been versions and different plans. One called the Blossom Plan that there was many accusations of gerrymandering then. Since I've been on the board since 2024 in December, I've never seen somebody make a bid and not be present to answer questions. So I'm just going off basically what the routine was from what I've seen since I've been a board member. I understand all of this, but my main concern was community input to make sure that this would be a fair and a non-discriminatory process. And so for everybody, that's why I voted like I did, and the reporters can put that behind the paywalls, but that's my decision, and that's why I made it. But I respect everybody else's decision as well.
Just to note, Mr. Bali, there is.
Since I'm recognized. So for me, what it is, because I'm a no vote, and I will remain a no vote. I know Jim was up here trying to get yes votes, and but for me, it's about the process, and the process is not clear. And I agree with what Director Bali said in regards to the transparency of it. And so for me, it is a no vote for that. And we just recently seen how if it's not done correctly, we've seen how legislators were drawn out of their zone. It was Senator Frederick Love that was drawn out of his zone. And to rush this through, because we could have always called for a special meeting to have more of a discussion about it. But it's gonna pass at this go around. And for me, my no vote, it's really about transparency, and it is about the integrity of myself as a board member, and then as my role right on this board. So, and those who's watching, they kind of know the way that we go.
Any other questions? Ms. Calloway.
I would like to address the reasons, my reasoning, mine,
Okay.
that I changed my vote. I know that we're not supposed to directly criticize certain peoples or entities. However, I am against this whole law. It was a targeted law. You've heard me speak of this prior to tonight. And it was done just for Little Rock. And we're going back to 1957 when this happened. And that was not to create an equality here. When we talked about desegregation, that's really not what it was about. It was about destroying. And that's what's going on. It's not personal, but it's about the kids. Now, I voted against every time this situation came up, except for the last time I was not at the meeting because I was not well that particular night. and it was a tornado. But we don't have a choice here, and that's not fair. Because if we go and vote against this, then we're essentially going to dissolve this board tonight. And I get it. I still feel that it's not fair. I think we have people from this entire state that is running our school and our school district. So, if we come up with something that is going to redo this process, and Mr. Heller said that he was looking into it, he's not here tonight, which is what I was kind of expecting. But anyway, and which kind of made me vote against it, you know, because I was waiting on him to say. But right now, I changed my vote, people, because I am not going to disband this board and let the state have us. I'm not doing it. So anybody have any questions of mine? You don't have to, because I probably won't answer. But that's the reason why.
Thank you. Director Adam.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. I just wanted to respond, Mr. Bali, to your concern about the community involvement. I appreciate that and support that. And I just wanted to note for all of us that in the City Gate description in their proposal, they have the option for community involvement if we choose. And so it is there, and they will provide it if that's something that the district wishes.
Okay, thank you. So it has been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Two. Abstain? Abstain?
Yeah.
Okay, the motion carries. Okay, so we're going to move forward to board comments. Perhaps we're already kind of there. All right, board comments. Yes? Director Strong, did you have something? Did I miss you? Okay, Director Ball.
Now, I just wanted to just bring up that we haven't really discussed the bell-to-bell no-sale policy, and wanted to know if that was going to be added to the agenda sometime soon, since we have to go into, this policy has to go into effect in the beginning of the 2025-26 school year. So I just wanted to know if that was going to be added to the agenda anytime soon.
It's slated to be on the your July working agenda to look at. Yep.
Thank you, thank you. Any other board comments? Other board comment? I don't know which one of you guys were first, but you guys decide, because I know you guys do it so well.
I just wanted to briefly affirm that that the majority of our time tonight was talking about students and about things we are doing for students, extra efforts, innovative efforts, commitment to try to help students who have often not been successful for lots of reasons, and I found that really refreshing, and I hope that we can build on that.
Other comments? Ms. Hatter?
Yes, for our next work session, I would like to see our entry third graders that are on or below grade level. This is the year that they will be held back, and so we do have other serious front-facing issues and policies to be aware of, and the impact to the district on that, as well as looking at the math crisis we have, because we focus a lot on literacy and students being behind, which is very important to do, because if you're not literate, you're not able to do math or any of the other subjects. But also, we still need to look at our math levels and ensure that our students are on grade level. And the last piece that I would like to see going, and this could really probably be right after the start of this, like August or so, looking at our career pathways, particularly what all we have with Central Arkansas Pathways Program and the other pathways we have within our district, because we're in this pendulum shift. And we need to ensure that, like, we are preparing our students for both or and. As we are seeing that there is a heavy need for more skilled workers. And then two, I would like to, I don't know who, I guess it would be career and curriculum. Who is career, not career, I'm sorry, not, that's not, it's a C word, but not career. Curriculum and instruction. I do need to speak with them as far as about AI in the education space, and really teaching our students how to interface with AI, because there are districts that's already lightning years ahead, and typically we know the South is lagging behind that, and so ensuring that, so that's a conversation later on, probably in the first semester, that the board may have, but definitely want to start having those internal conversations about AI in education.
Other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, this is for Ms. Burgess. Ms. Burgess, I had a couple of people that are just totally stressed out. They can't sleep, they're losing their hair, simply because I'm not really sure the procedure. If you have 7 people that put in for a job at the same building, and you select the 3 of the 7, then you have 4 people that were not selected. What is the procedure after you've selected the 3? Do you call the 4, say, hey, you were not selected? Do you send them an email and say, hey, we're sorry, or what? Or do nothing?
It's a combination of both. Some principals take the extra step, or some supervisors, they'll call, but most should get an email from the Talent Ed portal that says, thank you for your interest in LRSD, although we've, chosen a different candidate. So yes.
You shouldn't leave them hanging.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
They should know if they're going to be recommended, or if the supervisor has chosen a different applicant.
Okay, and another question. So you're going through your 1, 2, 3 steps, and so some people are not being renewed, but you have a list of job vacancies. So when you get to step maybe 7, but you've already put the list out of vacancies, the people that are at step 7, what if they wanted to apply for the job that you've already posted, but it's no longer posted because maybe you have 5 or 6 people that you need to select from? Is that justly?
So each job posting has a posting timeline, mostly about 10 days. So if it has closed and we're beyond the 10 days, the only time that we're going to actually reopen that is if there are no qualified candidates in that particular pool. Other than that, the supervisor, principal, whomever the hiring manager is, they're going to go ahead and go with the process and do the interview. So we don't typically reopen them unless there's a reason to open it beyond the 10 days, outside of that time frame.
Okay, so the person that's step 7, if that's a job you wanted, you just have to try to find something else?
Yes, ma'am.
I just have one last thing.
Okay. Yeah.
It's regarding our contracts. June 30th is the last day for everybody on contract. And either July 1, when they wake up, or when 12:01 a.m. hit, they're out of, they're either employed with the Little Rock School District because they signed a contract, or else they haven't signed a contract and they're not employed. And of course, the district has a role and responsibility there to terminate because of our fringe benefits, because then we have to pay those fringe benefits. And we're on round 5 of 8, which is, people know how I feel. I think it's crazy. We're the only district that have, it just doesn't make sense. So what are these career professionals supposed to do, because they are without a contract, and the district staff have 3 more rounds of hiring, which makes it a new contract. So how is that going to impact their benefits? Because in the system, I did go the extra step and call some folks that I know that works in benefits. they are terminated because the district have to terminate in the system. There's an end date. So what happens to those folks waiting for round 6, 7, and 8, which really doesn't exist because then they are getting a new contract? What happens and how should they move?
So those people who may be recommended at a later date beyond the June 30th date is what you're asking. They will be considered a new hire at that point. So
Right.
they'll come back through and they will have to do their paperwork again with their insurance. So
Yeah, so that's what I've been talking about the entire time. And the superintendent, and I'm not gonna say you, because I think that you do what, that is your direct report. So I'm not gonna throw you on that, but I am gonna say the superintendent and staff. They have been saying, no, that is not the case. And I've been saying these contracts self-terminate because of time, not because of anybody else. But there's a role that their employer, Little Rock School District, and all the other 37 school districts in the state have to do, is in these, put a termination date because of fringe benefits that we pay to Social Security and medical and all these other things. And I've been saying that they are not covered. And the superintendent and staff have been saying, yes, don't worry about it. So now what do we say to those staff members that have procedures or medical appointments? They have families and their benefits, and they were looking to use their benefits, but they won't have benefits come July 1 because then they haven't signed up for COBRA because they didn't do the paperwork. And when they sign and when they get a contract, they're coming in like a brand new employee. They have to fill out all of their new hire paperwork. And this is very disturbing because I've been saying this the entire time with the rolling of the eyes, the moans, the groans, the
let her
wannabe
answer the
social
question.
media
Let her answer the
influencers
question.
like saying stuff. But in the end, we're at the exact place that I've been talking about since day one of us saying we have 8 rounds.
can I clarify something?
Go ahead, please,
Okay, so-
and for the
so-
people.
So the employees who are 12-month employees, you're absolutely correct. June 30th, their insurance will expire. Those who are less than 12-month employees, their insurance will go through July 31st.
Yeah.
Okay, so it depends on what type of contract that
Right.
you're on, that will guide where you are in your insurance. So if a person, I'm just going to say a teacher, who may not have been recommended at this point, their insurance is still valid through July the 31st. So
Well-
they do have another month, but the 12-month employees, you're absolutely correct, it will end on Monday, June 30th, because there is no contract for them to be attached to in an effort to have insurance. So you're right, for the 12-month employees.
And to Mrs. Burgess, I'm not directing, the frustration is not it's not towards you. It is really towards administration because it's because these are, we sit up here and yeah, we can have empathy, we can feel the distress of those of our staff that may contact us or not contact us, but the reality is none of our lives up here are changed. We made sure that our top administration contracts was in place. We made sure certain middle management contracts were in place, but the people that have direct contact with these kids, or else just people in general within our district, these are their livelihoods we're playing with. And so for them to have to go through this round, yes, they may have insurance because of the way the last paycheck falls, but then what about being able to plan beyond June 3rd? I mean, we should not be doing this level of psychological violence towards our employees and then have the audacity to create a department on wellness, and we are the ones making them mentally ill. Like,
So-
it's just wrong.
So let me just ask, well, and that's what I'd like for you to do, to just speak to.
Well, and the other piece that was not in the, I would say, the timeline that we made an effort to do, and you all were great with adding those things to the actual agenda meetings, is when we suspended the rules to approve like the 2A, the 4A. So there were some additional rounds that were added in an effort to get as many employees approved by you all as possible prior to this deadline. So that were not accounted for in the initial timeline. So I think that helped a lot of employees. Mr. Bailey's team, we've worked closely together with HR and the business office and the insurance. We've met multiple times in an effort to try to capture as many employees as we could prior to the June 30th deadline.
But,
So
but
if
too,
we-
still, well, really quick, because I just want to say this.
Come.
Hopefully next year, this is a different way of doing this, because this is just, this, to me, as an elected, they are not stringing people, you know, they have done their hires and whatever vacancies, because this is a big enterprise, you're always going to have vacancies. But the core, like our teacher of the year, I just saw her name, and she was teacher of the year, and we knew she was teacher of the year in April, and she's just now getting, or whenever we had that ceremony, and she's just now on the on the list. And so if our larger districts, and we're part of large districts, are able to get this together, hopefully next year it is much more streamlined, because in prior years and prior administrations, like, we were not running it like this. I mean, I'm just saying, hopefully next year is different.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I just want to voice my appreciation for everyone working collaboratively, and, you know, just because we have different ideas does not mean that that is a problem. We all have perspectives, and we all need to be heard, and I am always open to making sure the floor is open for that. And so I always want that to be the environment, and I appreciate you guys for working collaboratively to ensure that is the case. I think Ms. Burgess had a comment, and thank you so much, Ms. Burgess, for being here with us.
You're welcome. I just had a few things. I wanted to first thank Dr. Wright and the board for this opportunity to continue to serve LRSD and our staff and students. It's been very eye-opening, as usual, sitting on this side and sitting on the side that I sit on a daily basis. The next thing I wanted to congratulate again and Mr. Bolly for bringing Mr. Davis forward, because he has a lot of respect in this district and time in, and helped a lot of people throughout the years. I want to uplift one more time our merit pay for our teachers, and Ms. Smith for doing a phenomenal job for highlighting that for our staff, especially for the teachers who impacted our students' growth. And so everyone is important. I thought that it's imperative that we continue to push and to expect and to be the standard for our students and our staff and our parents. So I think that is very important. Also, thank you all for approving the certified PPC. My hat continues to go off to our PPC, our Ms. Austin and Ms. Knapp Gordon, and also Ms. Strong and the committee who has worked feverishly to get this done, because now we have the classified board policies to work on now, and also the procedures. So we still have a little ways to go in an effort to implement what we need done for our district, but I am hopeful, and I see the light. Although everybody doesn't see that all the time, I'm always positive to see that we can do better for our students. And so that's what I wanted to uplift, for us to continue to keep our kids first.
All right, if there's no opposition, we're adjourned.